Good. Submit. New registry. Oop, didn't show that. Okay, let's move this so I don't accidentally press it. Alright, there we go. Hello everyone. This is Icy Roads. How y'all doing? So yeah, as you saw from me posting on DeviantArt, I'm going to be trying something new. Which is, I'm going to be telling my headcanon for the Tiger and Bunny stories that I've come up with for what I thought happened when Kotetsu retired and went to Oriental Town for a little while, and Barnaby being retired and all that jazz. Now, in the future, I would like to make these videos, but since I'm just talking on stream, it's gonna be kind of raw. So basically, you get to see all my mess ups on stream, and it'll be more polished in the video. Now, some of the information I'm going to be putting out there, I'm not totally sure is actually canon to the show. I've heard it from different areas, but I don't know where they got the information. So far, from what I've looked into, it looks to be canon, but then again, they might have switched things up in Season 2, or because it was under new management, they didn't know this lore, so it didn't continue on, and so on and so forth. So, kind of just going from Season 1 and what I know. I'm not a big fan of Season 2. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Season 2 was made because it does show interest in the Tiger and Bunny, but there's just so many things. I'll get into that another time. I do want to do a video of my impression on Season 2. Just not gonna be yet. But point is, things could be mixed up, or someone else came up with it, and someone else thought it was canon. So if I change something in the story later on, when I post it as a video, you'll know why. But I hope you enjoy, and I'm going to be doing art. I'm continuing drawing what I was drawing last time, and yeah. Surprisingly, last week nothing really happened. Knock on wood. I don't know why knock on wood. It's true, nothing happened. I guess because I don't want to jinx myself for this week. But whatevs. I'm here. I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy and gay. Or, I'm gay to be here. Because gay, yeah. So, yeah. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. So let's just get started. I won't lie, I was a little nervous to do this stream. I don't know why. I've told other people in my life stories, but something about doing it on stream seems different. But I'm also excited, so yeah. Oh, hello. What's the little gray boy doing? Being the king? Sorry, that was my gray cat, Hachi. He's like, what you doing, Dad? Sizing me up. Okie dokie. I've been thinking about this picture and I had to put it down for a little while because I've just decided that for this I'm gonna just do the background first and then add the characters. That will be the easiest. If I can get this to work. Alright, let's see. This, I don't really need to mess with that. So that is that. So that means, yeah, okay. Alright. Now let's see. If I have it like this, that's more tilted. Do I like the tilted? Because this is more straight. Maybe I should go for straight. I don't know why I'm so fucking gay. Let's see. For perspective-wise, I think I'll try to go easy on myself. So, yeah. Alright. Now that I know what I'm gonna do, let's start with the first story. Now, before I start, I do want to say one more thing. Since this is going to be the unpolished version, if I don't mention something, it's because I didn't think of it at the time or I forgot. Because some of these stories are very much, I've only told myself once, and so this might be me polishing it again, or really diving into the idea, so it's gonna be not professionally done, but I still hope you enjoy. Okay, now to stop procrastinating. Alright. Gosh, you can tell I'm nervous. So, we start with Kotetsu waking up to his alarm. He sits up, kind of scratching the back of his head and yawning. And he looks around, realizing that it's morning. He kind of sighs, and he... Sorry, give me a minute. Oh boy. This is gonna be harder than I thought it was gonna be. Oh, I won't lie. Alright. Being pulled from slumber, Kotetsu slowly realizes that he's hearing a irritatingly loud noise from one of the sides, from his right side. He turns to shut it off and realizes it's his alarm going off. He sits up, stretching and scratching his belly, and thinks, is it morning already? And he kind of flops back into the bed, thinking, I don't want to get up. As he sits there, he looks at what time it is, and it's time to get up. Not only that, but he realizes that he's already said that he was going to wake up early to help his brother with his duties at work, at his bar/alcohol store. Kotetsu, realizing that he woke up on his first alarm, thinks, it'd probably be nice if I cooked so Mom could rest. So, as he kind of gets up, stretching and cleaning up and making up his bed, he slides open the door and heads to the kitchen. He immediately starts cooking, going through the fridge, grabbing all the ingredients, and chopping up the vegetables. Suddenly, he hears his brother come in and said, I didn't expect you to be awake. Kotetsu kinda scoffing at him and says, well, of course I'm awake. Why wouldn't I be? He's like, you're not an early riser and we all know it. Kotetsu's like, shut up. Muramasa, chuckling, walks over to see that Kotetsu had also started the coffee maker. Happy with this, he starts pulling out cups and making tea because he knew that Anju, their mom, would like some. And plus, Kaede would too. Kotetsu thanks Muramasa for the help and continues cooking. It doesn't take long for the rest of the got caught up on that word. The Kaburagi residence stirs. Anju comes in and says, oh, I could have done that. And Kotetsu's like, you always cook, Mom. I wanted to help out. She's like, thank you, dear. Suddenly, an excited little girl runs downstairs and comes in to see that everyone is awake for breakfast. Happily, she sits down and says, ooh, Dad's cooking today. I'm excited. Kotetsu, beaming, says, I'm so glad to hear that, honey. Kaede, kind of sighing, says, Dad, stop being so silly. He kind of pouts and says, I can't help it. She giggles to herself, trying to hide that she doesn't actually think it's that embarrassing. Kotetsu, kind of laughing as well, continues with his mission. See, do not like this line, so I'm gonna change it. But, yeah. Kaede offers to help, and Kotetsu says, sure, can you get the plates? And she jumps up and happily starts getting everything they need. Anju, sitting down as Muramasa brings her tea, says, wow, thank you all so much. Kaede's like, no problem, Grandma. You always do the cooking. She's like, well, I do love it, but it is nice once in a while to have someone else do it for you. Kotetsu smiles and Muramasa nods as he sits down with his cup of coffee, and Kaede gets everything set up, and she drinks some of her tea, thanking Muramasa for the tea at the same time. Kotetsu puts the food down, and they all continue to eat. After they're done eating, Kotetsu says to Kaede, so, can I walk you to school today? Kaede's like, no, I'm not a baby, I can take care of myself. Kotetsu going, right, she's like, I get it, but no. He's like, okay. He kind of sits there trying not to look dejected, but he won't lie. It's been a little hard communicating to Kaede these past couple months. They've tried to move past the past, but there are just still some wounds that are harder to heal. After all, you can't just make it all go away just because you want to. And it's not that Kotetsu's trying to run from it. He knows Kaede wants to get through it just as much as he does, because it's made things awkward. But it's okay for them to feel the way they do. But after a little while of chatting and getting done eating, Kotetsu is cleaning up, and Kaede is getting her stuff ready for school. Katetsu asks if there's anything that he can help her with, and she kind of just gives him a look like, Dad, I got this. And he goes, okay, okay, and walks off. She kind of pouts, but she won't lie. It does make her happy that he tries. As he gets ready and he's about to walk out the door, he turns and says, give me a minute. Munomasa, nodding, just goes to get the car ready. He says to Kaede, hey, honey. And Kaede's like, Dad, quickly covering up something. I thought you'd walked out the door. He's like, sorry, I just wanted to ask if you mind if I picked you up today from school and we could go on a walk. She's like, oh, okay, sure. He's like, what you working on? She's like, nothing. Oh, okay. She's like, shoo, go. He's like, okay, okay. She pouts, and Anju kind of laughs. Katetsu thinks, I keep on not doing it right. He tells Munomasa, and then he says, well, maybe she's working on a project that she wants to surprise you with. He's like, maybe, but I don't know. Since I'm not the best at math, I kind of feel bad that I can't help her in those ways. And he's like, what are you talking about? You've helped her with math. Yeah, but we all know that you're better at it than I am. Munomasa then turns and says, yeah, well, if it wasn't for Tomoe, you probably wouldn't have made it through math class. He's like, thanks for reminding me. He's like, I'm just saying. After they snicker about it, Katetsu's like, do you think I'm being too pushy? Munamasa's like, honestly, I don't know. Because in a way, I think she's happy about you always trying to help. But in another, I think she is feeling like there is too much going on. But I also don't know how to gauge any of this. Yeah. Just keep on trying. I'm sure you'll hit the right stride. Thanks, Munomasa. He's like, no need to thank me. I'm always gonna help. He's like, I know, but still, thanks. Munomasa kind of just smiles, and they continue on to their drive. When they make it to the Kaburagi liquor store, they start getting the stock together because Munomasa is going to be asking Katetsu to do deliveries today. After all, there's plenty of stores and other, I can't think of the word, but basically people that have parties, you know, they're wanting their liquor, you get it. Hello! How are ya? Catering. That's the word I'm looking for. The Kaburagi liquor store is catering their party with liquor. So, Katetsu and Munomasa get things ready for Katetsu to do the drop-off. As they're getting everything ready, a woman around Katetsu's age comes walking in, and Katetsu says, oh, hello, Julia. She's like, hello, Katetsu. Hello, Munomasa. And Munomasa says, hello, as he brings over some papers for her to tell her about what she's doing, because she works at the liquor store with them. In fact, she reiterates again, thank you for this, Munomasa. I know that I've said this 100 times, but this job couldn't have come at any more of a perfect time. He's like, honestly, I'm just happy to help. She nods and says, still, thank you. As they get things set up and ready, Katetsu gets in the car. And he turns to Mary and says, not Mary, Julia, and says to her, "I'll be helping you tonight at the bar." She's like, "Oh, good. Tonight is one of the busiest nights." He's like, "Yeah, I know what you mean." She laughs and says, "Good to have backup." Kotetsu gives a thumbs up. Muramasa then gives Kotetsu all the addresses and says, "Take your time." Kotetsu's like, "You don't need me?" He's like, "Well, I mean, Julia's here. It's gonna be fine. Plus, knowing you, you're probably gonna be saving the day." He goes, I mean, he's like, oh, come on. You're always late because you're helping other people. I know this about you. I've already put that into part of the plans." Kotetsu goes, right. Muramasa says, "Just remember that you're going to pick up Kaede, alright? Don't get too caught up." He's like, "Right. Exactly." Muramasa pats him on the back, and Julia gets to work, and so does Muramasa. Kotetsu, getting in the car, buckles up, and drives off. It doesn't take long for him to really get in the groove of things and drop off some of the shipments. I guess that's what it would be called. He gets people to sign, and they thank him, and he kind of keeps on doing his thing, and eventually, I don't think I have the brain power to do the background today. I'm gonna go back to drawing characters because that is my favorite thing to do. Okay, let's just do my strengths today. Yep. Okay, so I need to do that and that. Okie doke. And I was working on the body. Okay. It's just the body? Yeah. Anyway, as Kotetsu drops off some of the boxes of product and chats with some of the people, they're like, "Thank you so much." And Kotetsu's like, "Hey, happy that I could help you out." She's like, "You didn't just bring me the alcohol I needed, but you also helped me fix up my problem with the bushes over there." He kind of laughs. She's like, "And here I thought I was going to have to get some shears to get my purse out. Thank you, though." "Oh, no problem. Happy I could help." As she kind of laughs and signs the papers, Kotetsu gets back in the car and moves from one place to the other, helping one way or another as well. Before he knows it, he's definitely on the last run of his I can't think of the word. God. You know, when you go... It's not shipments. It's not... Well, you know what I mean. It's his last stop. And he has just loaded off some of the boxes with the help of the son of the owner, who is around Kotetsu's age. And he's like, "Thanks for the help." He's like, "No problem. Happy that I could help. He's like, no probs. Happy I could help in any way. The guy kind of laughs and says, Katetsu, you really haven't changed, have you? He laughs and says, well, no matter, makes me happy I didn't have to carry all these boxes alone. Katetsu's like, hey, the Kaburagi liquor store wouldn't make you do that. He's like, I know, but still, I'm very grateful. Katetsu's like, well, happy to hear that. As they sit there kind of laughing, they suddenly hear a noise, and when they turn, there's water coming out of the bathroom. The guy's like, what? And runs over. Katetsu, following him, as he opens the door, sees water spraying out of one of the pipes under the sink. The guy's like, how did that happen? Katetsu, running over to try to turn off the water, finds out real quick that he was going to get soaking wet. There was no avoiding it. After getting sprayed in the face a couple times, the other guy freaking out, Katetsu gets the water off, and it's pretty obvious that the pipes are really old and busted. They are going to officially need a plumber. The guy goes, oh god. Katetsu, tightening up some things and fixing it, says, well, you can't use the sink. You're going to have to call a plumber. The guy's like, man, well, it's inevitable. Katetsu's like, yeah, the pipes are pretty old. You should have gotten them checked sooner. He's like, I know, but we kind of got caught up, and Katetsu's like, I get it. Since tourism has really picked up around here, some things have kind of fallen to the wayside. He's like, you're telling me. I mean, he's like, I don't know why. I guess because we're close to Sternbelt, and a lot of fans keep on heading their way to Sternbelt to see the heroes. He kind of laughs and says, I've never watched Hero TV once in my life. I don't get why all the youngsters love it so much. Katetsu laughs and says, that saves me from everyone not knowing I'm Wild Tiger. The older generation around here, people my age, do not care about Hero TV in the slightest. He's like, it's really nice. The guy's like, but I'm kind of happy for the tourism. It's very nice. Katetsu nods. The guy's like, well, thanks anyway. He's like, sorry to put this mess on you. He's like, no, it was no problem at all. When I was younger, I helped a plumber for a side gig once as a job. So, really worked to my advantage. All my knowledge. He's like, yeah, maybe you could fix the pipe? He laughs and says, I would, but then I couldn't finish my other job. He goes, that's true. Helping out your brother is definitely the important thing here. He's like, plus there are other people that need their product. That's true. Plus, as my expert opinion is, plumber? Yep, plumber. Well, thank you anyway, Katetsu. It was very nice to not only chat with you, but to have you help in this certain situation. Katetsu's like, anytime. Suddenly, they turn, and he's like, oh, thanks, Mom. Because the owner of the store had brought towels. She had not only heard the situation, but decided to bring towels. Katetsu, taking it, says, thank you so much. The woman, being older, speaking nothing but Japanese, basically tells Katetsu you can keep the towel. Katetsu, also speaking Japanese, says, thank you very much. He's like, are you sure? I could bring it back. The woman says, no, it's fine. Thank you for your help. He's like, it was nothing. She's like, now don't be late, Katetsu. I know how you can be. He's like, am I that famous around here? She laughs and says, more like infamous. He goes, oh boy. She's like, take care of yourself. And tell your mom I said hi. Katetsu's like, I will. As they wave goodbye and Katetsu gets into the car, he starts driving off and thinks, huh, I didn't end up being that late today. But it's really a good thing that Muramasa set it up the way he did, because nobody here realizes that I'm late. He gave me at least 30 minutes for each run. He then sits there and says, I'm so wet and it's uncomfortable in these seats. I'm so going home after this and taking a bath. Plus, I wouldn't want to be soaking wet when I pick Kaede up. That would be crazy. I mean, I know it's the summertime, but that's not the kind of summer fun I was thinking of. He's like, I didn't even get to go on a slip and slide, or dive into the water on a beach. He says, but it was pretty cooling, I won't lie. When he gets back, Muramasa says, what did you get yourself into this time? He's like, on the last, I forget the word, but anyway, their last client, he's like, their pipe ended up busting and I had to, help clean that up. He's like, no, you didn't have to, you wanted to. Okay, so I wanted to. Masa laughs and says, honestly, it doesn't make me mad, because since you've come around doing all the stuff you do, I've had a lot of people come in just because of your kindness, so I'm honestly not against it. Katetsu's like, then why are you hassling me? Because it's fun, and I'm your older brother. I have the right to hassle you. Rude. He goes, I know. Katetsu just gives him a look, and Julio snickers in the background. Muramasa saying, I knew it was going to take you a while. Remember, you said you were going to go on a walk with Kaede. He goes, oh, you're right. He jumps up and says, if I want to get there in time, I better go take a shower now. He's like, yeah, and don't waste too much time. He's like, right. Okay, I'm off. See you later. Yeah, see ya. He then Muramasa turns, shaking his head, and says, what a scatterbrain. Julia is like, but he means well. He's like, oh, I know. But honestly, if it wasn't for the fact his head was attached to his shoulders, he would forget. She's like, yeah, he needs a better coping mechanism. He used to have a better coping mechanism. Or at least, he did mention he was having an easier time remembering things. But, don't know what happened to that. Julia kind of wonders what Muramasa means, but continues with her work. Meanwhile, Katetsu is fresh out of the shower, he's gotten ready, and he's trying to head out the door. His mom has helped him out, and so he knows he has his shoes, his wallet, his phone, his keys, which he ended up walking home since Muramasa needed the car, and he really wasn't going to take his car, which he had parked in the back, or I think the side. I don't remember where he would have it parked. But anyway, he then walks into his room to grab something, and he was moving some clothes around, and right as he found what he was looking for, which his mom had reminded him to get, which was like his wallet or keys, he sees that he had moved his old button-up out of the way, and the pin that he got the pins that he got himself and Barnaby when he was being sentimental before they found out about the truth about Maverick, kind of rolled out onto the floor. He picks it up and he looks at it. He kind of sighs and says, "Man, it's like I have to think about you at least once every day." He's like, "I really miss you." He then looks at his phone. He's like, "Still no messages." He sees a text, and it was kind of a, "Hey, I'm leaving for Oriental Town. Like I said, when I retired," it was kind of a half-ass, "Hey, I'm going." He then kind of snickers to himself because he was going back and forth to Oriental Town from Sternbilt to get some stuff from his house. And one of the times he just went by train because he was only grabbing a couple things. So he wasn't planning to come back anytime soon. And he knew Barnaby had plans to go around and try to find information about his parents because, well, after all, after everything that happened, understandably, Barnaby wanted to know more about his family, his true family. Suddenly, Kotetsu gets caught up in the memory, and he remembers Kaede saying, "Come on, Dad, we're gonna be late." And he's like, "I know, I'm hurrying. She's like, "Huh? You could let me help." He's like, "Oh, no worries, honey. I mean, you brought a couple things yourself to take care of." She's like, "Okay." Then Kaede beams and says, "Is that Barnaby?" Kotetsu turns to see Barnaby on crutches. Kaede wants to run over there, but Muramasa stops her and says, "Listen, let them talk first." She's like, "Okay." Kotetsu runs over and says, "Hey, what you doing? You don't have to come all the way here." He's like, "Really?" Holding out his phone. "This is the most half-assed goodbye I've ever seen." Kotetsu's like, "Well, I didn't want to bother you. You were still recovering. I mean, your leg." He's like, "It's fine. They just want me on crutches for a little bit longer." Kotetsu kind of says, "I didn't want you to feel like you had to come." He's like, "I wanted to say goodbye. After all, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And like I said, you're my first ever best friend." Kotetsu smiles and says, "Yeah. I guess this means you're really going, though," Barnaby says. Kotetsu's like, "Yep. I kind of low-key didn't believe you because you're such a hero at heart." "Yeah, but I think it's time for me to move on." Barnaby nods and says, "I understand." Kotetsu's like, "And I wish you luck. I heard about from Dr. Saito that you're planning to go around talking to co-workers of your parents." He's like, "Yeah. Thanks. I am still kind of nervous." He's like, "I know. I don't blame you. But I'm sure that you're gonna be A-okay. You'll find out a lot of fun stuff." Barnaby's like, "I hope so." Kotetsu says, "Thanks for coming. I really wanted to say goodbye, but I didn't know how." Barnaby's like, "I noticed," putting his phone back in his pocket. Kotetsu's like, "This is kind of weird. I don't know what else to say." Barnaby laughs and says, "I don't really either, because I've never really had anyone to say goodbye to." Kotetsu gives him a sad look. Barnaby's like, "This is a good thing, not a sad thing." Kotetsu's like, "I'm sorry." Barnaby's like, "Honestly, thank you for everything." Kotetsu's like, "Hey, you don't have to thank me." Barnaby's like, "I know, but I am really super grateful. Kotetsu's like, I was grateful to have a partner like you too. Kotetsu holds out his hand like a fist pump. Barnaby reciprocates. And Kotetsu gives him thumbs up, and Barnaby does the same. Oh, I totally spaced that I wasn't drawing that even. Derp. But, Kotetsu laughs. He turns and says, "My daughter's super excited to talk to you." He's like, I've noticed. Kaede, of course, is like, can I come over? Kotetsu gives her a nod. She runs over and says, "Hi, Barnaby." He goes, "Hello." She's like, "I'm so glad to see you." "How are you feeling?" He's like, "I'm feeling great." He's like, "Just still need a little bit longer on the crutches. Other than that, I'll be back to basically," she's like, "conquering the world." He's like, "Conquering the world." Kotetsu's like, "Oh my, conquering the world, huh? I guess I should be careful." Barnaby's like, "Why? Did you do something wrong?" He's like, "I don't think so." They all laugh. Kaede, super excited, beaming, says to Barnaby, "Well, I can't wait to see you again." Kotetsu and Barnaby kind of didn't know what to say because they didn't know if that was going to be true. Barnaby, smiling, says, "Well, we'll see where the road takes us." Kaede nods. After she got to say hi and even got an autograph and a picture, Muramasa ushers Kaede to the train, and Kotetsu says, "I need to get going." Barnaby nods. Barnaby's like, "I do hope we'll meet again." Kotetsu says, "Me too." Barnaby smiles, and so does Kotetsu. Barnaby's like, "Okay." He's like, "Hug?" He's like, "Hug." Kotetsu gives him a hug and says, "I can't help it. I'm a huggy person." "It's fine. I know." "Take care of yourself, bunny." "You too, Kotetsu." They wave, and Barnaby watches the train go. Kotetsu sits down. Suddenly, Kotetsu's pulled out of his memories to realize he did get a message, and it's from Antonio, saying, "How are you, man?" He goes, "I'll answer that later." On one end, he's excited to see Antonio's hello, but on the other, he kind of hoped it was Barnaby. Then he realizes, oh crap, I don't need to be spending time reminiscing on the past. He's like, "I'm not late yet, but if I keep on, I will be." His mom's saying, "Kotetsu, honey, did you get it?" Yeah, I did." Just got sidetracked. He then picks up the pen and puts it up on the shelf saying, "I really do hope we see each other again." He looks at the messages. He did say, "Hey, I'm safe," to Barnaby, and Barnaby did send back a message saying, "Good to hear." But other than that, they haven't messaged each other since. Kotetsu's like, I mean, surely he wouldn't want me bugging in his life anymore, right? Maybe the fact he hasn't messaged me means something. Or maybe he's waiting for me to message him. I guess he was the last one to send a message. Kotetsu shakes his head and says, "Okay, focus." And he runs out his room. He talks to his mom and heads out. Meanwhile, Kaede is sitting there chatting with her friends while she is waiting for the bell to ring. She's thinking, Dad's probably going to be late. Meanwhile, Mary says, "Hey, you went off in Spaceland." Sorry. Sarah's like, "Are you worried because you think your dad's gonna be late again?" Is it that obvious? Mary's like, "Oh, you were trying to hide it?" "Shut up," she says. Mary laughs. Sarja just shakes her head. She's like, "I can't help it. I don't want him to be late." And Mary's like, "That's fair, but like you said, you're glad he's trying so much." She's like, "I just don't get why I'm being so weird and defiant. Sometimes I get mad at him and I'm like, why?" I'm just so confused. Sarja's like, "Well, it's complicated. You guys have been through a lot. Especially since he's been in Sternville a lot." "Yeah. But I am glad he moved back. I hope he knows that. I should probably say it." Mary's like, "Probably, but every time you try, you say you get this lump in your throat." Kaede's like, "I don't mean to be ungrateful. They look at each other. Sarja and Mary. They then look back at Kaede. Kaede thinks in her head, "I feel so childish for being mad at him. He was off running around saving people. And here I am, mad because he wouldn't, what, come when I wanted him to? I mean, when I needed him, he was there. I just wish that things could have been different. I don't know. I'm mad, but I don't feel like I have the right to be." Suddenly the bell rings, and the teacher that was talking in the background, it wasn't like they were doing, like, it's kind of like home ec, but, again, that might not be proper timing. Maybe they were talking in the middle of class. The story obviously will be subject to change on the video, but anyway. Kaede kind of sighs and is prepared to wait a little while as she gets up and gets her stuff. And Mary tries to cheer her up as Sarja says, "He might surprise you. He does sometimes." Kaede's like, "That's true. I mean, after all, the other day he surprised me." They laugh and says, "See?" She's like, "But I don't want to hold my breath." They're like, Kaede says, "There I go again, being kind of bratty." And Mary's like, "I don't think you're being bratty." Sarja's like, "Yeah, I mean, you're just a little upset. I mean, your dad was kind of absent." I know. But why can't I just tell him what I feel and what I'm thinking? Why do I have to just... Mary's like, "It's hard. I completely understand." Kaede looks and says to Mary, "You okay?" "Huh? Yeah, I'm fine. This isn't about me. I just want to help you feel better and cheer you up." "Yeah, I know." Mary's like, "Listen, let's not talk about my parents getting a divorce, especially since I'm happy my dad's leaving." And Sarja and Kaede understand completely. Mary's dad is not the best. In fact, Kaede was worried one time when she was little that she lost her friend because of Mary's dad's actions. Luckily, everything worked out, but Kaede could no longer go to a sleepover at Mary's house. So Kaede and Sarja were worried about it. Sarja's like, well, if you're ever ready to talk about it. She's like, I know, I don't really want to. Kaede, nodding, says, well, you don't have to, but we're here. Mary nods and says, thanks, you guys. Suddenly, Kaede looks up as they've reached the outside of the school, and there her dad is, standing there looking around. Sarja says, see? He's here. Kaede's like, I'm so happy. Mary's like, all right. Kaede's like, I know he's trying every day, but it's still great to see when he's made it. The girls nod. Kaede walks over and Kotetsu turns and says, hey, honey, how are ya? What you up to, Tiger Monkey? She goes, Dad. Right, sorry. Oops. I didn't mean to embarrass you. She's like, yeah, I'm not 5 anymore. He goes, right. Kaede kind of feels bad about getting on him, because really she wasn't embarrassed about her baby name. It's just something in her just can't understand the feeling she's feeling right now. Kotetsu then goes, so, are you ready? Kaede goes, yeah, I'm excited. He's like, you want to go to so-and-so park? I'll come up with a name later. But, he goes, you ready to go? She goes, yeah! She turns and says, bye, Sarja. Bye, Mary. Bye, Kaede. See you tomorrow. See ya. As they walk off, Kaede walks up next to her dad and, pause for a drink. I need some hydration. Nice. But anyway, Kaede catches up with Kotetsu and they head out. As Kotetsu's walking with Kaede in the park, he goes, I remember the last time me and Tomoe were here. Kaede's like, yes, I remember. You told me all about it. He's like, I'm sorry. She's like, nah, it's okay. She's like, it's just, you've told me the story like 100 times. It was your first date with Mom. You guys went to the movies. You were so nervous to hold her hand. I know. Gosh, have I really been talking about that story ad nauseum? I'm sorry, hun. She's like, no, it's okay. I just kind of want to hear a different story. You said you and Mom always come here. Have I ever told you about the time I chased a duck? When you were trying to get Mom's hat? You know, I wouldn't mind hearing that one again. That one was funny. He's like, yes, your mom and I had just come from Sternbilt. It was actually a little bit before she got pregnant with you, and we decided we were going to have a picnic here. It was close to autumn, and the trees were already showing it. Though it wasn't really that cold, but the water was. I remember. Stop jumping ahead. Tell me the story fully. Right, sorry. Kotetsu laughs. He then sees the spot that they had a picnic. He then points at it and says, as he kind of funnily runs over, Kaede giggling and following, he then plops down in front of the tree and says, we sat here and got the blanket out and put the basket down and started having quite a feast. Me and Tomoe had surprised each other with meals. She had made some bento boxes and rice balls. And, because I was a little late helping my mom, I only ended up making sandwiches. I almost made just fried rice, but I don't think I even had time for that. Kaede laughs. He's like, honestly though, I didn't want to bore her with my fried rice every time because it was my go-to favorite meal to cook. And I think it worked because your mom was always excited when I brought out fried rice. Good job, because you don't want her to be like, ugh, fried rice again. Yeah. He then says, as he sits there looking at the scenery, we were enjoying watching not only the trees sway in the wind, but the ducks swimming in the water. And it was nice. It was comfortable and it was fun. Kaede smiles as she sits there. He sighs and says, it was so much fun. We had some leftover bread, and honestly, I kind of planned it that way so we could feed the ducks. As we were giving the ducks the bread pieces, one of the ducks decided they were going to steal Tomoe's hat. Snatched it right off her head. I was so shocked, and so was she. I chased after the duck, but it basically made it to the water and swam off. And I tried to stop, but I was going too fast, and then splash! Kotetsu had jumped up and mimed running over to the river, Kaede following. He then laughingly says, ooh, that water was so cold. Man, I felt like just curling up, going, ooh, so cold, so cold. He then sits there and says, Tomoe, helping me out of the water, said, just let the duck have the hat. I said, I'm so sorry, I wanted to get your hat back. And she was like, no, just let the duck have it. Just let the duck have it. Kotetsu and Kai then plopped on to the nearest bench. Kotetsu's like, as I was trying to dry off and squeeze out my shirt, me and Tomoe chatted about hoping that duck used that hat as a nest, and that the duck's little eggs had the most bougiest nest around. Kaede giggles. Do you think they might still have it? Oh, goodness, I hope so. That would be cool. But I could understand if it's been long gone. Kaede's like, that's true. Kotetsu's like, but it would be so hilarious if they were still using that hat as a nest. Kaede giggles and says, all the duckies get a bougie nest. You have foretold it, Kotetsu says. Kaede goes, yes. Me and Tomoe sat there pretty much laughing, hoping of all hopes that they did get the most greatest, wonderfulest nest. Kotetsu sits there and says, man, it was so much fun. It also makes me think of the time we brought you here. Kaede goes, oh yeah? She's like, I know you've told this story, but I want to hear it again. Kotetsu's like, you were so little, you were just a baby. We decided to go picnicking at the same spot. No ducks that time. Are you saying no more hats were stolen? Kotetsu laughs and says, yeah, no more hats were stolen. Honestly, it was kind of a good thing. True that. Kotetsu, sitting there, says, it was so much fun. That day, we just sat and talked forever and ever. I don't even remember all the things we talked about. Kaede's like, yeah? He's like, yeah. Kaede smiles and says, I really miss Mom. Katetsu's like, me too. I miss her a lot. Kaede looks down. Katetsu's like, what is it? Do you miss being a hero? Katetsu's like, oh. He didn't expect her to ask that. He sits there and says, well, She's like, tell me the truth. Yeah, I do. But you know what? Just because I miss something doesn't mean that I'm not in the right place right now. This is where I'm meant to be, and I'm happy. You are? Kaede smiles. Yeah, I am. He smiles. Kaede, beaming, says, I'm glad. I'm happy you're here too. Katetsu's like, happy to know that. She's like, Dad, don't get all gushy on me. He's like, right, sorry. She then says, well, I guess it's okay every once in a while. He smiles and says, good to know. He turns and says, you know, we can come here anytime you want. Kaede's like, cool. 'Cause I like it. I like going on walks. Katetsu's like, me too. Kaede, smiling, turns and says, maybe we can do this again. We could do it this Saturday. Well, maybe not Saturday. Oh? Yeah, me, Sarja, and Mary are going to be studying. There's a big test coming. Oh. Would you like some help? Dad, it's a math test. But, you know, it could be funny if you helped out. I don't mean to make you feel bad. No, it's okay. Probably best to ask your uncle on that one. Makes me for Miss Bunny, he could just come up with the numbers in his head. Really? Oh, yeah. I don't know how he did it. We would have to have some sort of figuring out the math or something, and he'd be like, okay, what are the numbers? And then, bam, he would just say them. And I was like, I am so jealous. Kaede's like, really, you were? He's like, yeah, I am still. Kaede's like, well, at least there's one thing. Katetsu's like, and what's that? I don't always need help with math. That's true, because you've got your mother's smarts. I'm so proud. Kaede laughs and says, yeah, but I have your smarts too. Katetsu smiles and says, I don't know if I'm smart, but you definitely did get the best parts, didn't you? I think you're smart. Think you're being kind. He's like, what was that for? Because she stuck her tongue out. She's like, because you're being silly. Oh, I see. She then smiles and says, thank you, honey. Kaede smiles and says, thank you, Dad. He's like, for what? For taking me for a walk. Anytime, hon. Kaede then says, maybe Sunday. After all, Mary's gonna be doing some fun stuff with her family. And Sarah just said that she wanted to catch up on some books she was reading for, I suddenly can't remember the class. English, right? Anyway. Kaede's like, so I think I'll be pretty much free. Katetsu's like, alright then, sounds good to me. After a while, and chatting about some more stories and having so much fun, it's getting late and they're heading back. Kaede's like, Dad? He goes, yeah? Want to play video games tonight? Sure, I'd love that. Oh, I'm so happy you like video games. Yeah, it is really fun, isn't it? He's like, yeah. Excuse me. Kaede's like, but don't forget, Dad, you'll have to leave for, I know, going to Uncle Munamasa's store, liquor store. She's like, yeah. He's like, so I'll probably only get to play 1 or 2 rounds. She's like, yeah, but that's okay. I need to do homework anyway. He's like, true. It'll all work out. She goes, yeah. They get there and they play like Super Smash Brothers or something like that. And eventually Kotetsu has to leave. Kaede waves as she goes on to doing her homework, and she calls her friends to see if they're working on their homework. After Kotetsu gets to the bar, he sees that Julia's kind of swamped. He's like, I'm sorry, am I late? She's like, no, just surprisingly very early today, the people coming in. He's like, wow, I'll get right to it. She's like, thanks. She's like, you do remember that. He's like, I know, you're gonna have to leave early. She's like, yeah. Sorry about this. No, it's okay. She's like, I'm so glad my daughter Lilith watches. My daughter Lillian. Sorry, don't know why I say Lilith. My daughter Lillian can watch my daughter Mary. Which I hope she's okay. I mean, when I saw her earlier today, she seemed to be doing good. Yeah. Julia then turns and says, I need to help this customer. Right. Okay. Munamasa then comes walking out and says, I'm gonna have to take some, more alcohol to so-and-so residence. Kotetsu's like, did I forget something? No, they just ended up having more people come than they expected. Apparently a wedding is going to be happening soon, and a lot of people were partying. Right. So they need more. Makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be packing up the car. Call me if you need me. I'll tell you before I go. Alright, Kotetsu. Julia's like, do you need me to stay? He's like, no. Or Kotetsu? He's like, no, I'm good, I got this. He goes, okay. It's gonna take me a couple minutes because their order they asked for, some of it's in the back and some of it's in the front. Do you need my help? No, just man the bar. Okie doke. After a little while, Julia leaves. Munamasa's gotten all the stuff together. And he hasn't left yet because he's making sure that he's got all the order and everything. And basically organizing when suddenly a woman around Munamasa's age comes walking in. The woman has 2 kids with her, and she seems a little nervous, almost as if she didn't have to come in here, she probably wouldn't have. And Kotetsu's like, you okay? She's like, I actually need to use your phone. My cell phone is dead. Oh, okay. What's going on? She's like, well, I have a flat. He's like, oh, around here you're not going to really get anyone on the phone. He's like, hold on. He calls Munamasa and says, hey, there's a lady here that has a flat, and she kind of needs your help. Can you do that? Or he's like, no, I can. And Katetsu's like, oh, okay. And he turns to the woman and says, my brother will be out to help in a minute. Oh, you didn't. He's like, no, it's fine. He's like, I know how hard it is, and you just want to get home. He looks at the kids who are confused. One is a little nervous because they're younger, and it's, pretty much out of nervousness. And Katetsu smiles, which makes them smile. The woman says, I'm thankful. I'm really grateful. Thank you. He's like, no probs. Munamasa comes out and says, how can I help? Amanda turns and says, oh, they kind of immediately have sparks fly, and Katetsu's like, She's like, I have a flat tire. He goes, well, that's pretty easy. I can definitely fix you up. She goes, thanks. As they walk out, Katetsu, you could say, has little devil horns and tail. He's like, I have been wanting him to get married again. I did swear that I would get him married again. Meanwhile, Munamasa helps out Amanda and starts fixing up the tire. It doesn't take him long. He gets it off, puts the spare on, and puts the pop tire where the spare was. He turns and says, there. She's like, thank you. I'm so sorry that He's like, no, it's fine. She's like, are you sure? I didn't mean to. He's like, really? You're worrying too much. He's like, honestly, I was happy to help. Thank you. I'm Amanda, by the way. Munamasa. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, too. She's already put her daughters into the car as Munamasa was working on the tire. He's like, well, I'm sure you're pretty exhausted. She's like, yeah. He's like, you're not from around here. She's like, yeah, I moved in recently. He's like, oh? He's like, well, I hope you like it so far. She's like, yes, this place is beautiful. I really love it. He's like, I'm so glad to hear that. She's like, I actually used to live in a town nearby here, so I'm actually pretty used to speaking a lot of Japanese. He's like, yeah, because there's a lot of older people that only speak Japanese. She's like, in fact, I got a job here translating for English and Japanese. He's like, oh, cool. Well, anyway, I don't want to hold you up much longer. She goes, of course. He's like, if you need any help, don't be afraid to ask. I mean, you know where I'll be. After all, this is my I almost said store. This is my business. She goes, I see. Well, I might drop by and say hi every once in a while. He's like, you should. She's like, well, thank you. After they say goodbye, Munamasa waves, and then he kind of sits there thinking, what's gotten into me? I decided to never, ever think about dating again. He shakes his head and moves on. He tells Katetsu he's heading out. Katetsu goes, okie doke. But Munamasa gives him a look like, what's that look on your face? Katetsu kind of gives him a look like, I don't know what you're talking about, and continues on with helping out with the customers. Munamasa's like, oh boy. But he heads out and takes care of the order. And Katetsu ends up being the one to close up. Munamasa offered to come back, but Katetsu's like, nah, I got this. I mean, what, do you not trust me? He's like, no, I trust you. He's like, well then, I got this. Munamasa, laughing, says, alright, see you tomorrow morning, because I'll probably be asleep by the time you get home. He's like, see you tomorrow morning. After Katetsu's closed up and made it home, he kind of just flops onto his futon and says, oh, boy, I'm tired. He then looks at his phone because he was plugging it in. He realized he forgot to text back Antonio, but he decides he'll do it tomorrow. But again, no missed messages. Katetsu then falls asleep, kind of hoping that he could hear from Barnaby. Next morning, Katetsu wakes up to the smell of food. He's like, looking up, he realizes it's morning. It goes, did I really sleep that long? Yesterday I woke up at the first alarm, and this morning I barely woke up at the last. He's like, I guess I was pretty tired last night. He sits up and stretches. He then hears everyone in the kitchen. He gets up and says, good morning. Kaide's like, good morning. Munamasa's like, good morning. Hanju's like, here, dear, I made you some coffee. He goes, thanks, Mom. He sits down and says, I guess I'm just in time. Breakfast is about to be served. She nods. And Katetsu says to Kaede, so, did you sleep well? She's like, oh yeah, I slept great. She's like, how about you? He's like, I slept great, knowing that Munamasa might have a crush. Anju's like, what? Kaede's like, huh? Munamasa gives his brother a stare with daggers and says, I do not have a crush. Oh, come on. I saw the look you were giving her. You really, really liked her. Munamasa just stares at him. Kaede says, who are we talking about? Who is it? I want to know. Anju's like, yes, do tell. Don't get your hopes up. Really? What's her name? Katetsu asks. Amanda, but I was just being polite. Yeah? So what does she do for work? Where's she from? Oh, God. I was just being polite and had a bit of a conversation. After all, I did have to fix her tire. Kaede's like, fix her tire? Fix her tire? What do you mean? So this woman came in. A very beautiful woman, I might add. Yes, but that's not the point. You agreed! Katetsu? Yes, I was chatting with this beautiful woman named Amanda. There, you happy? Yeah. Katetsu's like, but you're not telling the full story. Anyway, I was working at the bar, and this nice lady walked in, and I noticed she was a little bit nervous, because it was obvious she didn't really know where, she didn't really fully know where she was. It was also a bar. but she didn't want to leave her kids out in the middle of the night in her car. Oh, kids, said Anju. Of course you peeked up at that, Munamasa says. Anju's like, I still haven't given hope of you giving me more grandkids, Munamasa. Said Munamasa. Kaede giggles and says, Go on, Dad, go on. Anyway, she asked if she could use our phone because hers was completely dead. And I was like, oh, really? Just trying to make conversation of how can I help and all that jazz. She mentioned that her tire had popped. And not that she wouldn't get anyone to help her. I just knew it would take a while and she'd have to call around, and really, it'd be really difficult because all the places around here are owned by small companies and, small businesses. And so I was like, we could do it. And I asked if Munamasa could take care of it since I was watching the bar. And he sure did. Oh, come on, I saw the looks you were giving each other. Don't even. Come on, you perked up like, ooh, and you know it. Munamasa just stares at his brother with anger. Like, how dare you? Kaede, giggling, says, ooh. Her two daughters seemed really, really sweet, said Kotetsu. Kaede's like, I kind of want to meet them. Munamasa's like, we might not ever meet again. This is not something that's going to become a something, okay? Kaede giggles. Kotetsu's like, yeah, sure, buddy. He's like, it's not like I'm gonna make time out of my day to go find her. He's like, well, I know, but maybe she'll come say hi to you. 'Cause I think she liked you, too. She liked what she saw. Oh, shut up. Anju's like, I hope. Oh, come on. I'm not going to be dating. Kotetsu's like, come on. He's like, I told you, after last time, I'm not gonna do it again. Ugh. You can't just let last time dictate everything. He's like, seriously. Listen, I did not end up having a good relationship. And I did end up getting divorced. I've tried the marry thing. I'm not doing it anymore. Kotetsu says, seriously? You need to give it more of a chance. He's like, I mean, come on. There's no way you should spend the rest of your life alone because of one bad experience. He's like, look who's talking. Kaede's like, what? Munamasa's like, that just came out. I'm, sorry. Yeah, 'cause that's not gonna date, right? Kotetsu's like, of course not, without skipping a beat. He's like, honey, I'm not interested in dating. She's like, right, 'cause it's you and Mom forever. Mm-hmm. Munamasa sits there and shakes his head and says, then why can't I? Kaede's like, but Uncle Munamasa, you should be happy. And Dad's happy. You should be happy. Plus, I wouldn't mind having a nephew or a niece. He's like, listen, it's not happening. I want to drop the conversation. Fine, said Kaede. Kotetsu's like, you're no fun. Uh-huh, sure. He gives Kotetsu a look. Kotetsu just sticks his tongue out. And Kaede giggles. Munamasa's like, hardy har har. He's like, you're still a child. Kotetsu's like, I'm not. He's like, really? 'Cause I'm not the one sticking my tongue out. Shut up, Kaede giggles. Meanwhile, I keep on saying meanwhile because I'm so used to when I tell stories saying that. But actually, I'm not going to be jumping to anything. So, after breakfast, Kaede goes to school and Kotetsu goes to work. As Kotetsu's getting settled, Julia is getting settled as well. She says, "Good morning, how are you?" He's like, "Good morning, how are you?" She's like, "Same as always." Kotetsu's like, "Yeah, I get that. Though we did have an interesting situation last night." Munamasa stops and says, "Her too?" Julia's like, "What? What is it?" This very beautiful woman came in to say hi, and right as Kotetsu gets done saying that, Amanda comes in saying, "Hello?" Kotetsu kind of looks, and Julia is like, "He went quiet." And Munamasa turns and says, "Hello, how are you?" She's like, "I'm good." She then says, "I wanted to..." Oh, good. Am I still streaming? Where did I cut out at? Still streaming? Anju's like, I hope. Oh, come on. He's like, "I'm not." He's like, really? Because I'm not the one sticking my tongue out. Shut up, Kaede giggles. To work. As Kotetsu's getting settled, Julia is, as always. Kotetsu's like, "Yeah, I get that. Though we did have an interesting situation last night." Munamasa stops and says, "Her too?" Julia's like, "What? What is it?" This very beautiful woman came in to say hi, and right as Kotetsu gets done saying that, Amanda comes in saying, "Hello?" Kotetsu kind of looks, and Julia is like, "He went quiet." And Munamasa turns and says, "Hello, how are you?" She's like, "I'm good." She then says, "I wanted to thank you for last night." Oh, good. Am I still streaming? Amanda comes in saying, "Hello?" Kotetsu kind of looks, and Julia is like, "He went quiet." And Munamasa turns and says, "Hello, how are you?" She's like, "I'm good." She then says, "I wanted to thank you for last night." Oh, good. Am I still streaming? Okay, what a relief. I had thought the stream comes in saying, "Hello?" out, and oh god, that was really crazy. I was thinking that the stream had gone out. Whew. I mean, I'm still here, right? Anyone in the chat could say hi? Oh, Jesus. I really thought that was it. I just noticed that my internet had gone out. It was, oh, wow, real crazy. And sorry for the repeat, because I was trying to make sure and knew where it cut off at. So I knew where it was going. Wow. That's crazy. Gosh, am I still streaming? I'm really paranoid now. Let me see. There we go. Jesus. The phone's acting up. Hold up, I need to get this going. If I can. Jesus. Okay, I'm testing it now. Testing, testing. Give it a minute because the stream is slow. Well, not slow, but there's some delay. Okay, I'm still streaming. Everything's still working. Oh, that scared me. Jesus. Alright. Hopefully that won't happen again. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'm gonna have to start back a little. Because I do need to get my groove back going. Alright. So anyway, after Munamasa turns and says hello and asks how she's doing, Amanda's like, "Oh, I'm good. Thank you for your help last night. I am so grateful. After taking my car in today, I realized that..." Hello! Hi, how are ya? After taking my car in today, I realized that there might have been some people that might not would have made my call because of it being so late and being small businesses. And Munamasa's like, "That is true." So I just wanted to thank you for your help. And Munamasa's like, "Anytime, really, no need." She holds out a box lunch and says, "Yeah, but I wanted to make this for you." He goes, "Oh, thank you so much." She's like, "No problem." He then says, Munamasa then says, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" She's like, "No, but thank you. I guess see you around?" He's like, "Yeah, see you around." Sorry, my cat is scratching underneath my chair. I have to stop that real quick. But, yeah. Kotetsu's sitting there watching, so is Julia. Amanda thanks Kotetsu as well, saying, "Thank you for helping me feel at ease." No problem. Julia kind of smiles at the woman and kind of gives her the look like, "No, don't worry about me. Just go ahead and keep on what you're doing." Amanda nods and says, "Good morning." She's like, "Good morning." After Amanda says some things to Munamasa, Munamasa says hello to her. She then leaves, and Kotetsu says, "That was your perfect moment. And Muramasa just gives him a look and stomps off. Julia laughs and says, I'm guessing that's the beautiful woman you were talking about? Isn't she a sweetheart? She is. I want Muramasa to date her. It does seem like she's into him. Right? Oh my gosh. Kotetsu then says, but he's like, no, I'm not into dating. No. Couldn't be me. Julia laughs and says, I mean, I do understand to a certain extent. Kotetsu's like, I get it. She shakes her head and says, but Muramasa deserves it. He's been through a lot. It wouldn't hurt for him to have a significant other. Kotetsu's like, right? I know he's mad at me, but in all honesty, I cannot care. Julia laughs. Kotetsu's like, he always looks out for everyone. Especially me. Well, you are his little brother. True, but he says, I just want him to be happy. Julia smiles and says, well, I'm sure everything will work out. Sorry, I had to stop and listen to my kitty play. He's got a little stuffed hedgehog and he runs around with it in his mouth. It's so adorable. Wow. But, yeah, back to the story. Kotetsu's like, he's so hard-headed. Julia's like, aren't we all? Kotetsu's like, yeah, I guess I don't really have a right to talk. I'm hard-headed too. It'd just be nice to have someone that not only he can take care of, but will take care of him. I mean, I know that we all take care of each other, but I know he's lonely. I know he wants a wife, and he was so sad at the divorce. Julia nods. I know that sometimes things just don't work out, but it really is hard when it doesn't. Julia pats Kotetsu on the back and says, well, he still has you, and his mom, and your mom, you guys' mom, and Kaede. True. Thanks, Julia. No problem. So, did you sleep well? I did. You? Yeah, pretty good. In fact, a little too long. Don't we always sometimes? He's like, I don't know, I tend to sleep in late a lot. But I guess I haven't lately. She's like, well, that's good. As Muramasa comes downstairs with boxes, he says, help me out, Kotetsu. Kotetsu's like, okay, and walks over. Meanwhile, at Kaede's school, she's sitting there chatting with her friends about just random stuff. And Kaede, laughing, says, you guys coming to my ice skating practice today? And Mary's like, heck yeah, wouldn't miss it. Sarja's like, I'm so excited. I want to see it. Kaede's like, I'm gonna try to do an axel. Oh, really? Aren't those, like, really hard? Yeah, but I think I'm ready. Cool, I want to see it. Kaede's like, yeah. Sarja kind of says, man, I'm kind of jealous of you two. And Mary's like, what do you mean? You guys have cool sports. Huh? I mean, you're like the lead in the swimming team, Mary. Well, yeah, I guess. Don't I guess? It's true. Kaede's like, right? Nobody swims as fast as you. That's not true. So and so does. And Kaede's like, yeah, but he is in a different class and older. I know. But it still bugs me I can't swim as fast as him. Well, you'll be able to soon enough. You just gotta keep on practicing. Yeah, I know. The stronger I get, the faster I swim. But it is so frustrating. So just like, and me, I don't really have a sport I like doing. You're tall, you could do some basketball. I don't want to get all sweaty. Oh, true. Kaede's like, well, maybe you don't need to do a sport. After all, you do read the most books out of us all. You could do that. I know, but I'm a little shy to talk to the book club. We could join it with you. But you guys already have special curricular activities. I mean, Mary, you've got the swim club, and Kaede, we were just talking about your ice recital. I know, but if you need help, it's okay, we're here. Well, I do really want to do it. I'm just really nervous. We'll do it with you. Yeah. Just let us know and we'll totally help. Thanks, you guys. Maybe I should try it. Kaede's like, I do need to read more books. Me too, said Mary. After all, if you leave me to my own devices, I probably wouldn't. Yeah, you just read comics all day. Not true. Yes, you would. Admit it. I mean, what book do you have in your bag right now? I have a lot of good books. Not for school, silly. Okay, fine. So maybe it's a manga. Uh-huh. Okay, so maybe I read too many comics. Yeah, when was the last time you read a book without pictures? Oh, shut it. Sarja's like, well, don't get me wrong, both are really awesome. Kaede's like, I know, I'm just messing with Mary. Mary's like, yeah, we all know that the books I read tend to have nothing but pictures. After them sitting there laughing, Mary says, by the way, Kaede, what books do you have in your bag? A manga. Yeah, I knew it! What can I say? I like Sailor Moon. And Mary's like, I mean, me too, girl, but if you're gonna call me out, I'm gonna call you out. I think the only one here that wouldn't have just a manga in their book would be Sarja. Sarja's like, actually, I don't have a manga in my book. In my bag, I just have... She pulls out several different books. Mary's like, I feel suddenly inadequate. Kaede's like, Sarge's like, sorry. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Honestly, I think if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even know all these good books. Right? I mean, goodness, at all the fun stuff we've read thanks to you, Sarja. And if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have been able to read all the mangas I have. They're so much fun. Yeah. It's because of each other we're able to find all kinds of new stuff. Yeah. Sarja's like, and it is so much fun. It is, isn't it? They sit there laughing. Then the teacher comes in, and everyone gets to listening to the teacher talk about all types of lessons. Jesus, brain, work. Obviously, my brain is not all there. But yeah. After school, Kaede's like, tomorrow's Saturday. Should we study at my house? Or Mary's house? Or Sarja's house? Man, it's so nice that you guys can study at my house now, said Mary. Another reason I'm glad my dad's gone. Sorry, I totally made the conversation a little sad. It's okay, said Sarja. I mean, after all, it's not like we're not feeling that way too. Sorry to say that, though. I mean, I don't blame you guys. That's how I feel. Kaede thinks about that day of how Kaede and Mary and Sarja had been playing outside in front of the driveway, and they had left their stuffed toys out when they went in to get a snack and forgot them. And as they were sitting there watching TV, they suddenly got yelled at by Mary's father, and they were confused. Mary's mom, Julia, came in to find out what all this ruckus was, and it turns out he was mad because he ran over their toys. And Julia, horrified, says, well, why did that even happen? They all don't know what fully happened with the parents, but after that, Sarja's mom and dad and Kotetsu, Kaede's dad and uncle and grandma weren't too keen on them having another sleepover. Julia didn't seem to fight it, and there had been some issues after that. They, of course, were always happy to see Mary and have Mary to come to their houses, but it's a new thing, them being able to actually go to Mary's house again. Mary's like, anyway, just glad that's all over. Sarja's like, yeah. I mean, why was he mad at us? He's the one that ran over our toys. I just don't get it. Kaede's like, I think that's why our parents freaked out. I think they were thinking that if that's how he acted, what if he'd accidentally hit us? Was he not paying attention? Mary's like, yeah, that's what my mom said afterwards. That she told him that was the last time. And they had a huge fight. And he went to go stay with his mom, my grandma. I'm just glad that he's gone. Mary turns and says, I just don't get why my sister misses him. Sarja's like, yeah, but from her perspective, things were a lot different. I mean, didn't your mom say that? Yeah, she did say that. She said how much it scared her that he pulled that crap, saying that she couldn't believe it. But that was something that never occurred to her that would even be a problem, or the fact he was yelling at us. Yes, it's a scary thing, and he should have just stopped and got out of the car to see what it was, but he wasn't even paying attention. Kaede's like, yeah, that's scary. Do you think he would have noticed? Sarja asked, scared. Mary's like, I would hope so. I think so. Mary's like, let's change the subject. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, same. Katie's like, well, because he's out of the picture, everything's gotten better. Yeah, I'll say. That's why I don't understand why Lillian is so mad. It's probably because things were different. I mean, your mom never worried about your dad pulling that crap before. Mary's like, it makes me wonder. Wonder about what? If he was done with us way before he actually said anything. What do you mean by that? Mary says, the last time that he was, coming to say hi even though Mom and him had split up, I overheard him talking to his girlfriend. He already has a girlfriend? But that's crazy. Yeah. And I think from the way he was talking, they've been dating for a while. I'm sorry, I brought it back up again. Katie's like, it's okay, you need a vent. Right? Mary's like, I think what's really shocking to me is I'm not even mad. I don't really care. I just want him to just go away. Sarja's like, well then, it's a good thing he has, huh? Yeah, and hopefully that lady will keep him away. Maybe she'll keep him completely distracted. Maybe. Kaede turns and says, oh, looks like we're here. And they look up and Mary's like, great, because I think it's time to stop talking about this. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. They walk in and Kaede's teacher says, oh, Kaede, can you come here for a minute? Kaede's like, okay. As she walks over to the teacher, she's like, about your, crap, I knew what to call it yesterday. Basically, she's, brought the papers for her parents to sign because obviously they're paying so she can, come to ice skating practice. So basically that kind of stuff. She's like, I know you've re-registered and everything, but I see here that you have made a change here that you are now a next. Kaede's like, yeah? Oh, honey, I don't mean to worry you. It's just there's some added paperwork with that. Oh, okay. She's like, I promise that this is not only to protect you in competing, but also for if you go to, a recital, a championship, all that. Right. I just need your parents to look over this. Okay. She's like, it's alright, dear. I know it seems nerve-wracking, but it's not. I mean, as a mother of a next that competes in soccer, I totally understand. It's not a bad thing, I promise. Okay. It's just, I know, dear. It's different now that you're next. I'm always surprised at how much it does change somebody's life. Kaede nods. She goes, here. Kaede says thanks and puts it in her bag. Now, are you ready to learn some new moves? I am hoping to try an axle today. All right. Glad to hear it. I think you've actually got it pretty much down. Maybe we can do the jumps together. Yeah. Kaede then walks over and Mary's like, what is it? You okay? Oh, yeah. Just a little bit of an error in the paperwork. Nothing too big. Mary and Sarja look at each other and then look back at Kaede and go, okay. Kaede sits down and starts putting on her skates. But in the back of her mind, she's like, how many months has it been since I turned out to be a Nex and I haven't even told Mary and Sarja? I guess time got away from me. I'm nervous. I wonder if that makes me a bad friend. After skate recital, Kaede heads home, and Kotetsu's sitting there looking at some stuff as he sighs. Kaede knows from the look on his face it's probably something to do with the fact he still owns the house in Sternbilt and has been paying rent on it. But at the same time, he knows he probably should sell it, but he can't bring himself to do it, so it's all complicated. Plus, he has some furniture he left there, so it's kind of also doubling as a storage. Kaede says, you okay, Dad? He's like, yeah, just looking at some stuff. How about you? What you up to? Well, she puts the papers down. He's like, what's this? Turns out there's some extra paperwork to me being a Nex and still going to ice skating practice. I haven't really looked at it yet. He goes, well, that's okay, honey. I can take care of it. It'll be alright. He's like, but what's going on? She's like, nothing. He sits there and she's like, can you just read it? He's like, of course, of course. He sits there, he looks through it. He's like, after signing it, it's no big deal, honey. It's just to make sure and let you know, because you're Nex, there's some added additional rules, which, I mean, I can't imagine you ever doing anything. He goes through the rules and says, basically, it's the same except with the added bonus of don't use your Nex abilities, that's cheating. It's like, we all know that. We're not worried about that. Kaede goes, yeah. He's like, but it does say here that there are things in place to make sure that, that you'll be safe because they have a way to prove that next, that they're not cheating. He's like, there are certain things nowadays where Nex residue can be sensed, so can prove, nobody can bring it up against you that you have Nex abilities, maybe you were cheating, and it obviously will be on your side because there's no way that it would be able to get away with it, to lie, because there'll be proof, that you're not cheating. And of course, on the other end, also catches cheaters, so you don't have to worry about all that, so it's all good. Kaede's like, yeah. Kotetsu's like, what's really going on, honey? It's just really making me realize how much things are different. I mean, I don't have to disclose I'm an ex, but that also means that in certain situations like this, I do have to disclose it to be able to continue doing the stuff I want. Yeah. It just makes me realize that now things are different. Katetsu's like, yeah. Plus, it kind of reminds me, I haven't told Sarja or Mary about being an ex. Katetsu's like, I know. I hope I haven't scared you away from it because of my experience. Kaede shakes her head. That's not it. I mean, I guess it is a worry. After all, your friends turned on you when they found out you were next and started bullying you. Even some of Uncle Munamasa's friends started bullying you because they were older brothers to some of your friends. Katetsu looks down. He's like, listen, honey, it's your decision what you do. I'll be behind you all the way and help you in every way possible. She's like, I know. Do you think I'm a bad friend? What? No, honey. Listen, you have a right to not tell anyone anything. You don't have to tell them about your life. And it goes both ways. If they don't want to tell you something, they don't have to. Katie's like, yeah, I know. I feel like they're so honest with me, and I've really not said this whole big thing, and that is that I'm a next. I know. I always want you to know that it's your decision, but I also don't want you to get hurt, so I warned you, but I hope it doesn't keep you from doing the stuff you want. Kaede's like, no, Katetsu sits there and pats her on the shoulder. She looks up. He says, listen, honey, I think you know what the right thing to do. You always do. Do you remember when you ran to Sternbilt, even though you knew that Grandma and Uncle Munamasa and me would not be happy? Yeah, I remember that. Remember what you said when I said you were grounded? That I fully understood your reasoning, and that you were fully prepared to take the punishment because you just knew in your heart you had to go. It's not that you were trying to get away from the punishment. You knew that it wasn't the right thing, that technically it was a bad thing because you were a kid and you need to be safe. But in the end, you were right. I needed you. And even though it low-key bothers me, I know that you would do it again. Even at the expense of punishment. Because you felt like I needed you. I'm at the same time proud. Because it wasn't something you took lightly. You made that decision based on what you felt was necessary and what was right. So I know you're not just going to go around doing dangerous stuff because you're willing to deal with the punishment. I know that you've made the decision on what to do. You know what to do, hon. So it's okay. Take your time. Right. Okay. Thanks, Dad. No problems. Kotetsu then says, "So, you all ready for your for me to sign this?" She's like, "You already have." Oh, right. Sorry. She's like, "Nah, it's okay." And yeah. But it does make me realize I don't want any of the people that I talk to, the ice skating rink, knowing that I'm a next. And it's kind of weird that I'm telling other people that I'm a next when I didn't really want to divulge that. But I remembered us talking about it when we had to sign before. And I decided that I just wanted to do ice skating really bad, that I was okay with it. Kotetsu's like, and if you're okay with it, then I'm okay with it. Plus, if anyone decided to cause you any problem, Papa Tiger will take care of them. Okay, and he's like, Dad. He's like, what? You don't remember calling me that when you were little? No, I remember. I'm just not sure you're ready for that. Oh, well, okay then. She turns and says, thanks, Dad. No problem, sweetheart. Kaede then gets up and puts the papers in her bag and runs off to go do her homework. But Kotetsu can't help but to worry. He sits there and he's like, it was really hard after I became a next. But times have changed. It should be different now, right? But there's still people. He thinks of Tony that still get bullied for being a next. I just hope that it doesn't change anything. I feel like that Sarja and Mary are good friends. I believe in them. I can't help to worry. I mean, I was younger back then. I didn't understand that people could turn on a dime. But it's definitely something that I fear. Muramasa sits down and says, what's that look? Kotetsu's like, oh, I just got done chatting with Kaede about, apparently there's some extra paperwork. Oh? For what? Her, going to still go to ice skating even though she's a next now. Oh, should have thought about that. Yeah. But, we got it all fixed up. But it brought up the fact she's a next. Has she told her friends yet? Not yet. I hope she doesn't worry about that. I'm guessing from your silence, she is. I mean, it's her right to tell whoever she wants. She doesn't have to tell anybody. Yeah. I just hope I didn't, scare her away. No, you were just warning her. We all know it. Don't worry. It's gonna be okay. I know, I think back on those times and can't help it. Then Masa's like, I know. He pats Kotetsu on the back. Kotetsu says, I believe in Mary and Sarja. Something just really, I just trust them. Muramasa's like, me too. I believe in them.
Katetsu's like, that makes me feel better. I second guess myself because of the past. I know I shouldn't because we were kids back then, but Unamasa nods. Katetsu shakes his head and says, but I need to focus on this and take care of this. Muramasa then says, do you still blame yourself? Katetsu's like, what? When we were younger, you kept on apologizing to me after I had fought my friends for bullying you when I caught them. You kept on saying that was your fault and how sorry you were. You don't still blame yourself for that, do you? Katetsu sits there and says, I can't help but to. But older me now understands that that's really crazy for me to do that because they're the ones that were being horrible. And yeah, who would want friends like them if they'd secretly bully your little brother? I wouldn't want them either. I don't know. I guess that's just the way my brain works. Minamasa's like, I wish I'd known sooner. Katetsu's like, you couldn't have known, I didn't tell you. I know. He shakes his head. At least I know if you ever really need anything, you'll definitely chat. You definitely tell me. Katetsu's like, of course, haven't I? Yeah. Well, anyway. Katetsu kind of tilts his head. Hopefully all we can do is just help Kaede move forward. Yeah. Katetsu then goes back to what he's doing. Muramasa asks if Katetsu wants some tea. Katetsu's like, oh yes, thank you. As he gets the tea, Katetsu then says, I hope that this doesn't affect Kaede's life too much. Munamasa's like, me too. They then continue on to what they're doing. The next morning, Kaede's walking with her friends, and she's sitting there kind of just listening as Sarja's like, thanks, I can't wait. I definitely want to try joining today. Awesome, said Mary. We'll definitely all go in. It'll be the perfect time. Yeah. And I've looked into it. It doesn't really go against timeline for my club duties. So that means that it's going to be alright. We'll have plenty of time where you guys can come and watch me swim, and then I can come to the book club. Sarge's like, that's awesome. They then realize Kaede's very quiet. Sarge's like, Kaede? Huh? Oh, sorry. I was just caught up in my head again. Mary and Sarja look at each other. Kaede's like, it's because there's something that's been on my mind. Mary's like, so does this mean you're finally gonna talk about it? Sarja's like, Mary! Sorry. Sarja's like, listen, Kaede, if you're not ready to talk about it yet, it's okay. I know that something's been bothering you. Mary says, I mean, you don't have to tell us. Kaede's like, but I feel like I should. I didn't mean for it to happen. But I've started realizing, it used to be just. I know that we've always been friends since we were little, but as time went on, we had more and more friends. I mean, there used to be 5 others that we used to chat with, but because, as they put it, I got some sort of bee in my bonnet, I'm just not so friendly anymore. We're not friends anymore. They were your friends too. I kind of made it where you felt like you had to choose sides. Mary's like, no, you didn't. They did. Sarah's like, yeah. The fact they weren't patient and tried to figure out what was going on, that's what bothers me. That's why we stuck around. Because we're all good friends, and friends help each other. But they just got mad at you for being upset. Is it because of your dad? Katie shakes her head. Sarah's like, I was starting to think that was the case, that something else was going on. Katie's like, I'm sorry. Again, you don't have to apologize. Okay, here it goes. I'm gonna tell you guys. Huh? Kaede looks up and says, I'm a next. Both Sarja and Mary sit there kind of stunned. But then Mary grins a huge grin and says, wait, really? That's so cool. Sarja's like, no way, really? That's really awesome. Wait, really? Kaede says. Mary's like, I didn't give you reason to think that I wouldn't think it's cool, right? Well, I mean, it's not that I thought that you wouldn't, actually, I don't know what I thought. I know when I first found out that I was an ex, I got all excited and I wanted to tell you and Sarja, but she's like, but then I started thinking about telling the others, and I started getting nervous and scared, and I guess I chickened out because of them. Well, you kind of had a right to, said Mary. Sarja nods and says, I don't know if you heard this, but the other day, so-and-so was actually talking about something like this. It made me glad that we weren't friends anymore. Because she was talking about a kid from 1A having next abilities, and for some reason they're all like, it's only cool if heroes have next abilities, but heroes started somewhere. Kaede's like, she was saying something? Yeah. Mary's like, I wasn't there, but Sarja was. And I heard about it from another person because they were agreeing with her. But I kind of didn't speak up, though. Mary looks down and says, I should have said something. No, said Kaede. Do you see me speaking up? Well, no. Kaede's like, it's scary. It's not that I'm afraid to be bullied or anything. It's just, people can get really weird about it. My dad's an ex. Really? Mm-hmm. In fact, I got my powers around the same age he did. But when it happened, all his friends turned on him. Oh no. Boys can be so stupid sometimes, said Mary. Sarja's like, yeah, my big brother, he had a similar situation. It wasn't that his friends were being mean, but he had a kid in his class that ended up being revealed to have next abilities, and for some reason all the guys were like really angry on him. My brothers yelled at him for being insecure and to leave him alone. But
I don't know where my brother gets all those guts, to be honest. I always think he's really cool for it, because obviously I wouldn't say anything. Kaide's like, I wouldn't either. My dad always told me if I wanted to tell, I should just do it, and to not let myself be held back. But it's hard, said Mary. Yeah. I'm just glad that you guys aren't mad. Mary's like, I'm just sad I didn't know sooner, but I'm not mad. I mean, I think Next have had a lot of things change for them. There are a lot of people nowadays that get excited at the thought of being Next. But at the same time, I'm not so certain that they would be ecstatic to tell people around them either. Sarja's like, yeah. In fact, I got in trouble once because I was talking to someone. It wasn't even at school, but there were some other kids around nearby, and I was talking about heroes, and this other kid's like, oh yeah, it's so cool. I would love to be a hero. And I said, me too. I want to be a Next so I could be a hero. And it was just an offhand comment. Neither one of us ever going to see each other again. But another kid overheard us talking and said only heroes are cool enough to be heroes, and if you guys were Next, you'd be freaks. And I was so stunned at how they just said that so easily. It really bugged me. I told him, heroes were Next before. And she said, yeah, but they were probably cool back then, and you guys aren't. So you wouldn't even be cool enough to be heroes. I was so taken aback that I didn't know what to say. The other kid kind of went quiet, and we didn't really say anything after that. Kaide's like, oh, it's so frustrating. Why do people like that get to run around and say wherever the heck they want? I don't know, said Sarja. It bothers me. But at the same time, I don't know if I could do it to speak up. Kaide's like, right? I know what you mean. It's scary. But I want to. Sarja's like, me too. I want to too. I'm so proud to have a big brother that would. I remember my dad saying how proud he was because we shouldn't make fun of people, especially for things they can't help. And especially since there are heroes out there that use their Next abilities to help others. Showing that, of course, there's always good. I know my parents don't watch Hero TV, and I'm not sure they get why I like it so much. But I know that if I had a choice, I probably wouldn't be a hero, but I would totally support somebody that was a hero. Kaide's like, me too. Mary's like, well then, I wish I was the Next because I would want to become a hero. What about you, Kaide? Kaide's like, I'm not so certain. I kind of really like ice skating. Maybe that will be my career. Sarja's like, I wonder if there was a way I can make reading books my career. You could become somebody that, rates books. No way. That's definitely not a career I want. I'm not going to tell people how to write. No, thank you. But that would probably be the best way to make sure that reading books was my job. But yeah, no. Could become a writer. Don't know about that. They turn and say, sorry, we got off subject. Are you okay, Kaede? I'm fine. In fact, this is great. I like just talking like normal. This is the best reaction I could have ever hoped for. You guys not only sympathized with me, but it's just a normal conversation, and that's exactly what I want. Mary's like, so what's your powers? Please tell me, please, please. Well, I can copy any Next ability just from touch. Wow, that's so cool. wish I could do that. Kaede's like, it's not as fun as you think it is. Oh, really? They start walking to school again. Kaede's like, yeah, I was a magnet once. Oh, that kind of sounds awesome, but from the sounds of it, you weren't too happy about it. Yeah, no. Uh, at some point, we started locking up the silverware drawer and hiding the knives. Oh, crap! And it doesn't help that because my dad's power is strength related, I copied his powers before that, and all the spatulas are still slightly bent, even though Uncle Munamasa and Dad got in there and kind of hammered them out straight. They're still not perfect. Oh, no! We had to buy a new table. I accidentally broke it. Not to mention, I broke my favorite teacup. Oh, no, that sucks. She's like, it was so cute. It was purple with the white frost on top. Oh, that was the cute one. That's why you don't have it anymore? I totally shattered it holding it in my hands. Okay, you're right. Not as cool as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, because each power I've got to learn how to use so I don't go around destroying things. Sarja's like, wow, yeah, that does sound pretty hard. Yeah, you're telling me. Though sometimes it's fun. Like the other day, I was able to change my hair color. I made it purple and red and pink and green. Oh, wow. Green actually looked pretty good with my skin complexion. Ooh, cool. Oh my gosh, we should so get together and have a sleepover where we put on... Oh, wait. Katie's like, yeah, my dad doesn't let me put on makeup. He does let you put on costume makeup for Halloween. For Halloween! Everyone else gets to put on makeup, and I don't. I mean, you could go behind his back. I know. Kinda don't want to, though. I guess I don't feel that strongly about it yet. Yeah, but think about it when you're 16. If he's still keeping me from makeup, I'm doing it behind his back. Right? Katie's like, nah, I'm not gonna do it behind his back. I'm gonna do it right in his face. I'll start laughing and said, good point. Katie then giggles and says, I bet he would be sputtering at that. Katie's like, it's my job to freak him out anyway. So true. You are the kid. Yep. Meanwhile, Kotetsu sneezes and says, is somebody talking about me? And Julia kind of laughs and says, hope they're talking good about you. Me too. He's like, it's probably Antonio, and he's probably talking bad about me. Julia laughs. Kotetsu's like, oh crap, Antonio, I forgot to answer him back. She's like, I could watch the store while you go do that. He goes, thanks a million, Julia, thank you. She laughs and says, no problem. Kotetsu goes running off, and Munamasa says, when you come back, let's chat. Kotetsu's like, okay. He's like, but about what? He's like, did you forget? Yeah, I did. Tomorrow's Friday. Oh, right? Oh, yeah! I was going to the job office tomorrow to see if I got another job. Yeah. I completely forgot about that. I better get my clothes ironed tonight. Yeah, you better. Alright, I'll go call Antonio. Yeah. Kotetsu runs off. Munamasa shakes his head. Kotetsu, after calling up Antonio, says, hey man, how are ya? Antonio's like, pretty good. Did you get my text? I did. I forgot to answer back because I was in the middle of something. I was gonna go pick up Kaede from school. No problem. No worries. I knew you'd answer me back when you could. But I'm guessing you didn't read it. No, I forgot. Why?
Dude, I was asking if you wanted, when I came up, to bring you some snacks. Oh, yeah, sure. Antonio shakes his head. Katetsu's like, well, yeah, so how are you? Pretty good. He's like, been basically doing, hero things. Oh yeah? What about that? You sure you want to hear, man? I mean, I know that you really miss this stuff. Yeah, come on. It'd be better to just hear about it and not, be thinking about it, right? I guess? Well, anyway, nothing too big. There's just been a lot of petty theft lately. Don't know why. We're basically trying to figure out who started it, what's the cause, and all that jazz. Huh. What do you think caused it? You know, people deciding they're gonna steal things? Okay. We're thinking that it's a bunch of teenagers in a group that, for some reason, have decided to go and start stealing from all the gas stations nearby. I think that a couple of them are next, but I think we know where they're gonna hit, and we're gonna be able to arrest them. Katetsu's like, oh, okay, and so, I'm just talking about this. This does not mean you should get your nose into it. Right. You sure I should be talking about this, man? You seem a little bit like you're... Yeah, you're right. I should drop it. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. I guess I miss being a hero more than I thought. Well, you could always watch Hero TV. I know. And I do. I do. I just remember the days, and I just want to go and just do hero stuff, You're not been watching Hero TV much, huh? No, I really haven't. I get it. Well, you seem to be doing good, though, from what I've seen. Kaide's been keeping me up to speed on how great you've been. Great I've been? What are you talking about? I'm bottom of the charts. Even Ivan has kicked my ass. Yeah, but you're still doing good. Yeah, I'm just glad I'm still a hero. That's all I'm glad for. Yeah, well, I still think you're doing great. Thanks. Sorry. Katetsu says, I don't really know what else to talk about. Yeah, I get it. Listen, we can always talk later. Or next time. Yeah, you're right. I'll check out your text and then send you another text. Yeah, there you go. No probs. Better get back to work anyway. Yeah. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be back to another job. Just be careful this time. Oh, you know I'll be alright. Hey, I gotta go. Okay. Anyway, bye. Bye. As the phone ends, Antonio's like, hopefully it will all work out. Katetsu sits there and sighs. He then walks in and chats with his brother about tomorrow, and he's like, just go ahead and take the whole day off. You sure? Yeah, no problem. Okay, thanks. In fact, here. Uh, what's that for? What do you mean, what's that for? He's like, it's for what you've done this whole week. And for the other weeks. Oh, come on, you know I told you that I was only helping out because I wanted to help out, and just take it, okay? I promise this time I'm gonna have a job. You do have a job. You're always welcomed here. You know that. Thanks. I don't want you to worry, you know? Especially since you've hired Julia and all that jazz, and yeah, but I've always got room for my little brother. Thanks. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to work. Minamasa nods and takes care of some things before he comes back out and continues with helping out with the bar. Kotetsu comes home and sees Kaede working on something. And, Kotetsu's like, hey, can I help? Kaede covers it and says, no, Dad, stop. Sorry, She's like, I know. I thought you were going to be out a little bit longer. Kotetsu's like, ended up getting finished early and being able to come back home. Gotcha. She then puts away whatever she's working on. Kotetsu's like, so, how was your day at school? Kaede goes, great, actually. I told Saraja and Mary that I'm next. Really? How'd it go? Really great, actually. That's great. Kotetsu smiles and says, I'm so happy to hear that. I won't lie, I was a little worried. Kaede's like, yeah. And they weren't mad that I didn't tell them. In fact, they really understood. It makes me realize how much people talk bad about Next Steel. Because they even told me that it was probably a good thing I didn't say anything to some of the others. Kotetsu sits there and thinks about how Kaede did have a lot more friends, but now it's just Sarja, Mary, and her. Though he's glad that she has two really awesome friends over multiple. In his rise, he thought that. Kaede said, honestly, I am glad that I end up having friends that I can trust. I know it's way better to have two really good friends than lots of fake friends. I'm really happy to have friends like them. Kotetsu smiles. Kaede then turns and says, anyway, how was your day? Oh, my day? It was fantastic. And did you know that Uncle Antonio is going to be coming soon? Really? When? He decided he was going to come up for around October. Ooh, cool. So I set up for him to bring some Sternbelt snacks. Really? Yay! That's going to be so cool. It is, isn't it? Kaede giggles. Kotetsu's like, so, what you been working on lately? None of your business. Maybe I could help, though. Kaede gives him a look, and he's like, okay. Kaede's like, why are you so nosy? I just... Kaede sighs and says, I know. She gets up and walks off. And I'm not really that mad, but I can do this, okay? Okay. Anju sits down and says, listen, I know you want to help out, honey, but on this one, just let it go for a little while. Okay, Mom. She's like, I know. how are you, Mom? Oh, you know, same old, same old. You don't have to worry about me, dear. Do you want help in the garden? She's like, sure, I would always love help. I guess I just kind of want to be useful. Oh, you're always useful, hon. Don't worry about that. I know maybe I've been pushing too hard on the wanting to help, but I want her to ask me. I know, dear. I just don't feel like she feels like she can't ask me anything. That's not true. She came to you when it was about the ice skating papers. True, but I wonder if she'd gone to Munamasa if she saw him first. I think she chose to come to you. Thanks, Mom. No problem, dear. Kotetsu then kind of leans back as he chats with his mom. Something then hits him, and he goes, "Hey, Mom." And she goes, "Yes? What is it, dear?" "Did Katie ever find her toy bear?" "Oh, no, she never did." "Really?" She nods and says, "Unfortunately, that didn't ever happen." Kotetsu's like, "I wonder, maybe I could help find it." Hanju's like, "Maybe, but I don't know." Kotetsu's like, "I mean, it's worth a try, right?" She's like, that is true." Kotetsu jumps up and says, "I think I'm gonna do that." She's like, "Wait," but Kotetsu's already halfway up the stairs. She shakes her head. Kotetsu knocks on Kaede's door. Kaede says, "Who is it?" "It's me, Kaede." Hold on." Kaede walks to the door and opens it and says, "What is it, Dad?" I wanted to ask if I could help you. Dad, I already told you. No, I was thinking maybe I could help find your bear. Kaede's like, "My bear? You mean the one I lost about several months ago?" "Yeah." Kaede says, "It's lost, okay? Just drop it." "Huh?" "Oh, but I would love to, Dad, just drop it. Uh, not a baby anymore anyway." "I'm gonna go back to what I was doing." "Okay." She closes the door. Kotetsu's like, "What was that? She seems so..." He comes and sits down and says, "She wasn't really into it. I kind of heard. I think she feels guilty." "For what?" "That she lost it. I think it's really been something that's been eating up at her. She doesn't usually lose anything, so I feel like it's really gone to her." "Should I drop it then?" "Honestly, I don't know, dear. Maybe I could still look even if she's not ready." "That's true. That is a very thoughtful idea. I just wish she didn't feel guilty. We all lose things. I mean, look at me. I lose things all the time." Anju's like, "Yes, but she doesn't lose things, so it bothers her. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some things she's forgotten, but this was really important. Kotetsu nods. I just hope I can help her. I know, dear. Kotetsu then shakes his head and says, well then, I better go get my clothes ready for tomorrow. Anju nods and says, would you like me to help, dear? Nah, you know how I like to iron things. You know, if you're in the ironing mood, there's a lot of clothes you could iron for me. Really? Yep, that would make me happy since I hate ironing. Mom, you could always tell me and I'd love to iron it. I always forget because I know your brother hates it too. He'll help out and iron as well, but it's kind of something we just shared as a chore. I forget how much you love it. I do. Well, then maybe we should set it up that you do all the ironing. I would do that. In fact, if we could switch it around to, I do all the ironing and Munamasa does all the dishes, you'd never get him to agree with that. Yeah, I know. But I could do that. Oh, no, Mom, you take care of everything. I don't want to put it on you. She laughs and says, oh, dear. You really are a hardhead. I can't help it. She's like, I'm so proud of you, too. And I'm proud of Kaede as well. Kotetsu's like, yeah, she's awesome. And I guess Munamasa's impressive, too. Munamasa says, I heard that. Hey, aren't you supposed to be at work? Anju laughs. And Munamasa's like, I came to get your butt. That's what I came to do. I'm not late, am I? I am. Oops, sorry. Oh, boy. Hurry up. I came here to do my clothes, and I did. I washed them and got them all smooth and stuff, but Anju's like, they'll wait for you. I'm sure they'll be happy when you get back. You can iron them then. True, true. Kotetsu walks off and says to Munamasa, have you seen Kaede's bear? Oh, no, I haven't, and I looked everywhere for it. When I said I'd look for it, she got mad. I think she feels guilty that she lost it. I wish she didn't. I know, but I think it's the purple bear that you got her. Oh. The next morning arises, and Kotetsu has not only gotten his clothes ready and ironed, his brother and his mom helped him get up, and so did Kaede. He's sitting there eating breakfast, and he gets settled, and Kaede's like, you're not doing anything tomorrow, right, Dad? Huh? No, tomorrow's Saturday. Okay. Kaede then walks off. He's like, huh? Kotetsu's confused. Isn't she going to study tomorrow? He then shakes his head and continues to get ready. After he gets done, Kaede wishes him luck as she heads to school, and Kotetsu wishes her luck as she heads off. And he heads off to go to talk to the, I forget what they're called, but I guess they're like a manager to help you find work. And,
Katetsu heads out. Katetsu, who has gone to the office, is sitting there kind of nervous as the guy is sitting there chatting with Katetsu. And he's like, honestly, I can't find any more prospects. Katetsu's like, I see. The guy's like, I mean, you've kind of become a bit of a laughing stock in the world of finding jobs because most people heard about you knocking over that camera at the news station and basically cutting the power. Yeah, I didn't mean for that to happen. I mean, I know you didn't mean for it to happen, but it did, and, well, we're here now. Katetsu sits there. He's like, I guess that's become what everyone's talking about. He's like, oh, yes, that's what everyone's talking about. Katetsu, who is a klutz. Is there any other jobs that I could, do? Listen, I've been trying, but you kind of left a bit of a mark, and people aren't too excited to see it. I'll definitely do better this time. The guy's like, yeah, that's what you say every time, sir. You do know that you're not a superhero, right? Yes. I'm sure that a lot of the stuff you do, you could, not do. I understand you ended up helping that woman at the news station. But honestly, it really has made things harder for you. Listen, we're just lucky no one got hurt when the camera wire fell into that puddle on the floor, which, who leaves a puddle on the floor? But either way, bad luck. Katetsu's like, yeah. Kind of being nervously jittery because he had to power up or he would have gotten electrocuted. Because the truth is, he basically tried to stop what happened, but couldn't. He had to do what he had to do and ended up saving the woman from a horrible shock. But he didn't tell anyone that, and he got fired. But, how it always works, right? Anyway, Katetsu's kind of scratching the wound that's long gone, but he still remembers the shock he got on his ankle. The guy's like, honestly, at this point, I don't think you're going to get any more prospects. Katetsu's like, the guy kind of laughs and says, I mean, it's kind of crazy how, optimistic you are about all this, but I kind of think you should maybe go in and give people your resume or something, or maybe talk to somebody that doesn't know you, move to another town. Katetsu sits there. I mean, I've been hearing about how hilarious it was about the camera guy that knocked over the camera. And, gotta tell you, it's always hard to lead in with, I'm trying to get him a job. I get so many in calls, to be honest. I just hear that tone on the other end. I mean, I'll still keep on trying, don't get me wrong, but I think you need to just start realizing that you
not going to get many people calling back. Maybe a small business will hire you. Somebody that will think that you will be able to do the job. Katetsu's like, I can do the job. Granted, you were doing a pretty good job before that. I'm not going to disagree with that. But nobody wants somebody that fell over a camera and knocked it into water. Katetsu's like, yeah. I said I was sorry. Yeah, but sorry doesn't fix an old camera, now does it? I guess, you saved them a multi-million-dollar issue. All the same, you still cost them a lot of money. Katetsu's like, yeah, but they were gonna need to get a new camera anyway. The cord was, already showing wires. Yeah. Well, I didn't hear that part of the story. Either way, you just kind of... nobody wants to hire you. Katetsu's like, I see. Yeah. I mean, can you blame them? The job before that, you pissed off your boss and got fired. Katetsu's like, but I don't know why I didn't say what he said happened. He's like, I wasn't talking to his wife at all. In fact, I still don't know who his wife was. Yeah, that one was definitely not your fault. He probably is trying to, compensate for something else. Katetsu's like, but I swear, I didn't talk to his wife. You know of. Maybe she was hitting on you and you didn't know it. Katetsu's like, I find that one hard to believe, but okay. The guy kind of looks at him with an empty look and then continues with, anyway, like I said, I'll still keep on, but truth is, I don't think you need to come in anymore for this. This could have been an email or, well, a call. Let's just put it this way. If you hear from me, you got a job, okay? Okay. Well, anyway. I just heard the other day from my kid that they were talking about you. It was crazy. Even kids are talking about you. I guess that was probably because he went to school with the person's father that owned the company and all that jazz, or manager. It's always funny what kids can hear. Right. Anyway, have a good day. You too. Katetsu leaves. He puts his hat back on because he had it clutched in his hands in front of his chest. He sits there. He stands there, and as he's walking, he makes his way to a bench and sits down. He sighs. I wonder if Kaede was mad at me for that. I bet everyone was talking about it at school. I hope I wasn't the reason that she was made fun of. And I thought I was doing pretty good on that job. Thanks to Miss Agnes sending me some manuals and stuff. Never really ran a camera before, but she said I did a pretty good job. When it was me and Bunny taking care of that situation. Again, I screwed up. Again, I'm here without any success. The one thing I'm good at, I wasn't even that good at. I mean, I see what they say on Hero TV about how it was probably best for Wild Tiger to go. How they're sad that Barnaby left and not me. He's like, I've seen all of it. He's like, man, why am I so freaking useless? He starts crying. He worries that he's embarrassed Kaede, and lately she's always talking about how embarrassing he is and that she's not a baby anymore. He knows that he's embarrassing, and he's frustrated because it never was anything he meant for it to happen, but he was just trying to help. It's like, honestly, he noticed the raveling of the cords, and he saw that if he didn't do something real quick, then the woman that was about to talk to the other news anchor was going to get electrocuted because the wires were close to the water. And right as he tried to reach for him, he realized that there was no way to keep it from hitting the water because somebody else was moving the camera around and it was just crazy. So he just powered up and took the brunt of it. But all the same, he got blamed, and, well, when he tried to speak up about it, he was shut down and blamed, and, you know. Kotetsu tries to calm himself down, but it's just getting worse. He thinks about the past, how he feels so bad that there's such a wall between him and Kaede. It's like the past couple of days come kind of swooping down on him. He tries to think of the positives of how he's been able to chat with Kaede, and at the same time, he feels like every time he gets close to really making some sort of effort to fixing the situation, he then screws it up and does something stupid. It just becomes all too much. He sits there and realizes that this place that he sits down near is where some of the kids used to hang out when, like Kaede and her friends. But some teenagers start using it as a way to skip school and smoke, and so a lot of the younger kids stop going near there because the other kids would always run them off saying, "You're uncool, don't be around here," and blah blah blah. You know, older kids being jerks. So Kaede and Sarja and Mary stop going around there. But Kotetsu realizes, wait a minute. Maybe Kaede forgot something. Forgot her bear here. Because she did mention that they got so mad they just ran off. Could it be? He stands up. He moves forward, trying to go look at the area that Kaede and her friends used to play. He sees that there are some kids around there skipping school and smoking, but he ignores it.
He then goes to the area that the kids used to play all the time, and since it's been a couple months, it's quite overgrown, and it's just gone pretty extreme. And he just decides, well, screw it, I'll just go in anyway. Take a look, who cares, right? But it's so overgrown that his clothes get caught, and he's basically having issue with all that, you know. He falls over and lands in a big puddle, and a big tear goes on his vest and shirt. He sits up and goes, oh, how it sucks to be so frickin' clumsy all the time. He then sits on his knees. He wipes off some of the water that splashed on his face. He realized some of it was mud. He's got twigs in his hair. He picks up his hat, which is the only thing that doesn't seem to have had any issues. He puts it back on his head so he doesn't lose it. But at this point, he's like, why am I even trying? He's like, what's a bear to the fact I've been gone so long in her life? I wasn't even that good of a hero. My own daughter thought I was like a sucky hero. I don't blame her. I was the most uncool person around. Still am. I know she says I'm cool, but I'm not. Maybe He shakes his head. He's like, I don't ever do anything right, do I? I try so hard, but it seems like I always just mess up. And now I'm just mooching off my brother. He's like, I never wanted to be trouble. For anyone. For him, for Kaede. It's always like I seem to always be trouble. He's like, dang it, because he's tearing up again. He kind of lowers his hat and says, this is not the time to be acting this way. I should just get home and just cry into my pillow. Probably a disappointment to Kaede, to Tomoe. Just because she said that she wanted me to keep on being a hero. I'm sure she didn't want me to miss so many things. I miss so much of Kaede's life. For what? I wasn't even that good of a hero at all. He's like, I was probably just in the way, and suddenly his brain kind of pulls him out of this by remembering Barnaby telling him, you are a true hero. Kotetsu stops and remembers. Barnaby says, we've always needed you. You're the hero we need, but we don't deserve. We're so busy tearing you down, we don't notice what you do. Admit it. If I hadn't had you by my side, I would have never, ever gone as far as I did. I reached number 1 because of you. Kotetsu's like, that's not true. You did a lot of it on your own, bunny.
He's like, really? I don't think you giving me the arrest on my birthday that day was that one-time thing. I thought so. You always think of others, never yourself. You know, it wouldn't help if you... It wouldn't hurt if you were just a little more thinking of yourself. But you do deserve it. In fact, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You're a true hero, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Kotetsu sits there and thinks, if I can impress him, who at first couldn't stand my guts, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. And I'm letting the fact I missed out on a job getting to me too much. He then realizes, wait a minute, what's that? He then moves some bushes and stuff, and he sees a little pink bag. It's a pink little backpack that is clear, and see-through, but it is a plastic little backpack that probably housed makeup or something in it, or maybe nail polish. Either way, once he moves the bushes, he sees the little stuffed bear safely tucked away in the backpack. So the backpack is worn, but the plushie is fine. Kotetsu's like, it's Kaede's bear! I found it! He's like, I was right! I can't believe it! I really found it! He picks it up and jumps up and down and goes, I did it! I did it! He's like, I can't believe it! I just remembered her saying that one day when I had came home and asked about it. God, it was so many months ago. Can you consider it being last year? Well, whatever it is. I can't believe that I remembered. I mean, she only mentioned it because I don't even remember why. But I found it and I'm so happy. I gotta talk to her right now, like right now. He gets up and he runs, kind of forgetting that he has twigs and leaves in his hair. And his clothes are ripped. His pants are turned, and every step he squeaks because he's got water in his shoes. He's got mud on his vest. But he keeps on going. He's just so ecstatic. He just can't even keep it to himself. Kaede comes walking out, chatting with her friends when she sees her dad. She's like, Dad, are you okay? You're covered in mud. In your clothes. She's like, what happened? He's like, look, hon, I found your bear. Kaede sits there stunned. Mary's like, Sarge's like, let's leave them to talk. And drags Mary away, who is like, wait, huh? Really? Okay. Kaede's like, Dad, I told you didn't have to go find it. He's like, I know. He's like, but I really wanted to. In fact, it was just completely coincidence. Do you remember that place you and Sarja and Mary used to play? Huh? You know, the one where you were like, the teens are getting too rowdy, so we decided we weren't gonna go there anymore. No, I kinda don't. He's like,
Well, that's where it was. Kaede's like, really? Wow, thank you. She grabs it. She kind of wells up with tears and says, thanks, Dad. It makes me really happy that you found it. Kotetsu cries and says, I'm so glad. Kaede's like, I didn't want you to tear your clothes for it, though. Kotetsu's like, oh, that's because I fell over. She's like, you're always so clumsy. He's like, yeah. You wanna walk home together? She's like, sure. She waves at Mary and Sarja, who wave at her. As they walk off, Kotetsu notices Kaede clutching the bag tight to herself, but they've kind of gone quiet. Kotetsu rubs the back of his head and says, hey, honey. And Kaede's like, yeah? I wasn't causing any problems, was I, when I got fired from that job? Huh? She tilts her head. You know, the one where I accidentally did a large blackout when I kept that, cord from hurting anybody and it went into the water. Kaede sits there blankly looking at him. I'm guessing that's a no. She's like, I hadn't heard anything about it. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, I was working at that news anchor area. Oh yeah. The one where you got electrocuted on the leg? Yeah. I didn't hear anything about it. I was just more worried that you got hurt. Oh, no, I was fine. She's like, I know, but why are you asking about that? I just found out how much of it was talked about. Kaede's like, oh, was it? Yeah, apparently that guy that is trying to help me get a new job is heard all about it from other people. Kaede's like, well, he is going around areas that people would be talking about that. Kotetsu goes, good point. Dad, did it not go well? Kotetsu looks down and says, let's not worry about that. Kaede goes, even if people did talk about it, I wouldn't have cared. I just wouldn't want you to be, bullied because your old man couldn't help but to act like a dummy. Kaede's like, but Dad, I know the truth. Even though they didn't want to listen to you, which probably because they did believe you, and they knew it would cause issues. And I know you can't prove it, but I wish you could. I think they should get in trouble for the fact they let that camera cord get so unraveled that one little accident could have caused a disaster. Kotetsu nods and says, yeah, but there's no way I could have proved it. I wish I had noticed it sooner. Kaede's like, but you couldn't have because you were busy doing other things. They didn't even let you run the camera until that day, right? Yeah, that's true. He shakes his head. Kotetsu kind of sits there. Were you really that worried?
A little. I don't want to cause you trouble, you know? Kaede looks down and says, You don't? He kind of looks to the side. Kaede's like, Dad, be honest. Huh? When you were a hero and I wanted you to show up to things, you would be there sometimes, wouldn't you? If you're talking about that time when you thought Barnaby was so cool, I mean, of course I was there. She shakes her head and says, Not that time, Dad. I'm talking about all the others. Kotetsu goes quiet. You knew? He says a few minutes later. She nods and says, I kept on wondering why I kept on seeing Wild Tiger of all heroes. I wanted to ask you, but I was not sure what to ask. He sits there quiet. He's like, I told you, if I could be there, I would be. I didn't want to miss it. I couldn't change, you know, but I was going to do what I could to be there. Kaede says, I always wondered why you would say things that there's no way you could have known unless you were there, but then you tell me Uncle Munomasa told you. Kotetsu looks down and says, Kaede's like, in my opinion, I think you should have told me sooner that you were a hero. Kotetsu's like, but I didn't want to worry you or, you know. Kaede's like, no, I don't know. Kotetsu's like, I guess I saw you still as a little kid. Yeah. Because little kids don't understand, right? I'm sorry, honey. I did also want to protect you. It wasn't just that of seeing you still as a baby. She's like, then what else was it? I don't think I knew what to say, to be honest. After everything that had happened, I didn't know what to say. Kaede's like, you know, I always thought why the one hero I would always see around was you, Wild Tiger. I used to think of all the heroes I would have wanted to see Sky High or Blue Rose. That whole time, the reason I kept on seeing Wild Tiger was because it was you. Sorry that I'm not a cooler hero. Kaede stops and says, you are a cool hero. Kotetsu's stunned. Kaede's like, you're not just a cool hero, Dad, but you are my hero. Kotetsu's lip trembles. He starts crying. Kaede sits there as Kotetsu says, thank you, honey. That's what I always wanted to hear. But I didn't want you to say it if you thought I didn't deserve it. Kaede's like, what's cooler than you running around helping people, even when everyone else made fun of you and still do? It irks me.
hear kids talking bad about you, and it just makes me so mad, and I want to say something, but I can't. You don't have to, honey. I just want you to think I'm cool. I don't care about the rest. If they don't think it, that's fine. It's you. You're the one I want to think I'm cool. Kaede starts crying and says, "The truth is, I've always thought you were cool, Dad. I was just so mad." She thinks to herself, "This is why I don't feel like I have the right to be mad." Kaede, Kotetsu says, not realizing what she was thinking. "That makes it so much better. Knowing you always thought I was cool. You don't always have to tell me these things, because I know I can be dumb sometimes. You're not dumb. Clumsy, yes, but not dumb." He's like, "You're so much like your mother. I'm so proud." Katie's like, "Oh, Dad." He's like, "I'm so proud of you. And I'm proud of you too, Dad. In fact, I wouldn't change it for the world that you're my dad." Kotetsu just can't hold it back. He isn't just crying now. He is full on bawling. He is sobbing. He's just so happy. So happy to hear Kaede say that. He hugs her. Kaede hugs him back. He's like, "You're my world, Kaede. And you always have been. I know I wasn't very good at showing it. And I wish I could undo some things." Kaede's like, "I don't. I know I'm still upset about some things, but I don't want it to change, because that means all the people you saved wouldn't have been saved. So I don't want to change it." Kotetsu's like, "Oh, Kaede, I don't deserve you." She's like, "Not true." She's like, "I don't deserve you." He's like, "Don't think that. Of course you do, sweetheart. I'm the one that's lucky enough to have the best daughter in the whole wide world." She giggles. She wipes away some of his tears, and he wipes away hers. She's like, "I love you, Dad." "I love you too, Kaede." "You want to go home, Papa Tiger?" "Yes, I do, Tiger Monkey." As they're walking, Kaede says, "You know, Dad, I think the only thing that you did wrong was not telling me you were Wild Tiger." "Really?" "Yeah. Because, honestly, I am proud to have you as my dad. And I couldn't be more proud at the fact that you saved so many people." Kotetsu smiles. He's like, "Thanks." He says, "Well, I know one thing. I'm glad you know now. And if there's anything you ever want to ask or know, just let me know." Kaede smiles and says, "Cool. I'll definitely be thinking." Kaede's like, "You know, Wild Tiger was way cooler than anyone ever knew." Kotetsu smiles and says, "I'm glad to hear that." Kaede, smiling, says, "Even though Barnaby's still my favorite hero from Hero TV." Kotetsu kinda laughs. Kaede then looks at her dad and says, He can't ever beat out the best spot, though.
Really? Said Kotetsu.
I just told you, Dad. You are my hero. And that's the best spot.
Kotetsu's like, oh, sweetie, you're gonna make me cry again.
She's like, I think I'm already crying at the thought of you crying.
He's like, you're the best.
Katie's like, nah, you are.
When they get home, Anju's like, oh my goodness, Kotetsu, honey, what happened?
Katie's like, he found my bear.
Oh my goodness. Where was it? Was it in a freaking jungle? Kotetsu's like, I mean, not a jungle, but it was a bit overgrown, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my. Kotetsu laughs. Kaede, laughing, says,
thank you for finding my bear.
he puts his hat on her head and says, anytime, sweetheart.
Kaede then giggles and says, you're not getting this back, run off.
Kotetsu's laughing so hard. Anju can't help it. She's also thawing. And Kotetsu's like, okay. Yeah. Good to know. And Anju's like, I hope you know she's completely serious. You think so? She nods. Kotetsu's like, well, it's not like I'm going to be able to wear the outfit again that it matched, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't think I'm going to be able to sew up these huge tears. She's like, there's not enough fabric. This is such an old shirt. Yeah. It doesn't help that I lost those other shirts. Yeah, I still can't believe that somehow your shirts ended up across the country. Yeah. Bye to all the vests and shirts I had. I kinda, even though I didn't get them back, would have loved to seen the people's reactions who got the box and have them go, why did I get a bunch of clothes? Anju just laughs, walking off. Kotetsu's like, man, would I have loved to have been a fly on the wall. Anju's like, honestly, you're not the only one. I would have loved to have seen that as well. Kotetsu, after taking a shower, comes walking in to say goodnight to Kaede, but when he knocks on her door, it comes open and he sees Kaede kind of laid over her bed with stuff knocked onto the floor. She had fallen asleep. He walks over and helps straighten out everything and move it so he could put the covers on. He kisses her on the forehead and whispers a good night. Kaede doesn't really stir, but she does get comfortable. Kotetsu then sees the book that he had placed on her desk had fallen open. When he closes it, he realizes that it's a book of her favorite hero stuff, and it's the one where Kaede had cut all the parts of Wild Tiger out. She had been fixing it. So there were taped pictures of both Barnaby and Wild Tiger in the same picture. Some of them are a little crumpled, but honestly, they were just even though some of them were crumpled, they were taped back to where they should be. Kotetsu's like, oh, sweetheart, you didn't have to do that. He pats her on the shoulder and says, good night. He's like, I really don't deserve you. As he walks out, closing the door, he then goes downstairs. He ends up falling asleep, and when he wakes up, he sees that it's pretty late. He's like, oh, what time is it? Muramasa was the one that woke him up and said, almost 3 in the morning. He looks and says, oh man, I didn't mean to fall asleep out here. He sees a blanket and a different book that he's not seen next to him with a little bow on it. Kotetsu's like, what's this? Kaede must have woke up and gave it to you. I guess she thought you'd sleep out here the whole night. Kotetsu's like, yeah. He's like, wait, is today your birthday? Yes, it is. Kotetsu's like, I completely forgot. Why am I not surprised, said Muramasa. Probably because you don't ever celebrate your birthday? Kotetsu nods. He's like, this is what she's been working on all week. Yep. Why didn't you say anything? Then you would have done the normal thing of, oh, you don't have to worry about my birthday, yada yada yada. But, Kotetsu, of course we're going to want to celebrate your birthday. Kotetsu's eyes fill with tears and says, man, I've cried a lot today. Yes, Anju told me about the story. In fact, Kaede told her over dinner. Kotetsu's like, I see. Kotetsu looks down. Muramasa says, you know, I'm sure Tomoe wouldn't be happy to know you don't celebrate your birthday because of the past. Kotetsu turns. It's just, I can't help it. Today's the anniversary of her death, so I can't think of anything else. Muramasa turns and says, well, we'll go see her grave today, but let's just celebrate your birthday, okay? Okay. I'm gonna wait to open this present tomorrow. I want to have Kaede around when I do. Muramasa smiles. Get some sleep. After all, we have a long day tomorrow. Huh? Don't tell me Kaede was lying about... Yup. Wow. But I could have sworn I heard her friends. Oh yeah. Kaede has another gift she's been hiding from you because you've been so nosy. They've used code the whole time, and so she's basically decided where she's hid your other gift. I see. It was really hard because we were trying to keep you from being nosy. I was trying to rush you out the door. But at the same time, we knew if we made it too obvious, you would have figured it out. Makes sense. You're so hard-headed, you know that? Yeah.
But you know, Munamasa kind of does a fake karate chop on Katetsu's head and says, "We wouldn't change it for the world. Now go get some sleep." Katetsu nods and says, "Good night." He says, "Good night." As Katetsu leaves, Munamasa sighs and says, "We all miss you, Tomoe, but don't worry, we'll give Katetsu a good birthday." He then goes to bed. And I'm going to have to pause it there because, honestly, I am tired. Super tired. But I hope you all enjoyed, and looks like I was able to do a little more on this. I'm just a slow drawer. What can I say? But, sorry, excuse me. But yeah, I am very happy so far how it's turning out. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of sketching and figuring it out. I think I want to scoot origami a little more this way. We'll see. But, yeah, I'm getting a little closer. And I think what I'm going to do, since I've decided, is I'm going to just draw in all these pages, and then I'll worry about the background on this one. I'll leave the beginning panel for later. So I might have more worked on the next time you see this. Either way, thank you for coming. I hoped you enjoyed. I have more story, obviously. And yeah. It was fun. I was nervous at first, but this ended up being really great. I really enjoyed it, to be completely honest. In fact, I got so caught up talking about the story that sometimes I forgot to draw. But yeah. Thank you all for coming, and goodbye. Have a good night or day. Bye!